Chapter 888. Shi Yao's footsteps came to a halt. Every single word of the conversation between Lin Jie and his parents was clearly heard by her. It turned out that Lin Jie wasn't here to pick up the package. He happened to bump into her parents and he didn't want her to be sad, so he stopped them for her. Her parents' words still left a deep chill in her heart, but Lin Jie's thoughtfulness also brought warmth to her heart. Lin Jie's mouth was truly vicious. Every single word he spoke was sharp and incisive. She couldn't see her parents' expressions clearly due to the greenery, but she could sense their awkwardness and helplessness. She thought that her parents would fall silent because of this, but who could have thought that they would actually start apologizing to Lin Jie? They had already disappointed her greatly, but at this very moment she was still disappointed once more. Back when she had argued with them, they had never admitted to their mistakes. They had always treated her as if it was only right for them to do so. Yet at this very moment they actually admitted that they were wrong to Lin Jie so easily. Just as Shi Yao was feeling a little sad, Lin Jie spoke up once more. Since we've bumped into each other today, I'll make it clear to you. Yao, even if you don't love her, I do. Even if you don't feel pain, I do. Even if you don't dote on her, I do. Even if you can't give her a beautiful family, I do. Shi Yao's eyes reddened. She didn't listen to what they were saying anymore, as if they had never appeared at all. She took a few steps back before turning around to return to the Lin family's old residence. Instead of returning to the house, she headed to the backyard and picked up a pair of scissors to pluck a huge bouquet of flowers. Not too long later, she saw Lin Jie returning to the courtyard and entering the house. Not too long later, the door to the house was pushed open forcefully and Lin Jie rushed out. Shi Yao knew that he must have asked Auntie Sun about her whereabouts after he returned. Fearing that she would overhear the conversation between him and her parents, he hurriedly rushed out to look for her. Only then did Shi Yao put down the scissors and hugged the bouquet of flowers, pretending as if she had just finished plucking them. After taking 2 steps, she pretended to see Lin Jie and called out, "Lin Jie?" Lin Jie turned around and saw a young lady carrying a huge bouquet of fresh flowers in her arms as she skipped toward him from the back garden. He actually didn't go to the door to look for me but went to the back garden? Shi Yao passed the bouquet of flowers to Lin Jie and said, "Here, it's for you." Lin Jie stared at Shi Yao's face for a moment, and after making sure that everything was normal, clean and warm, he finally reached out to take the flowers. However, he still couldn't help but feel a little worried. He continued staring at Shi Yao for a while longer before asking, "Did you go to pluck flowers earlier?" "That's right. I heard from Auntie Sun that you went to pick up your package, so I wanted to come out to look for you. However, I happened to see the flowers blooming in the backyard, so I ran over to pick a bunch." Shi Yao knew that Lin Jie didn't want her to know about his parents' visit, so she had to pretend that she didn't know about it. Not only so, she had to do everything in her power to cover up the matter so that Lin Jie would believe that she didn't know about it. Chapter 889. With such thoughts in mind, Shi Yao shot Lin Jie a radiant smile that was as dazzling as the bouquet of flowers in his embrace. "I picked these flowers for you personally. Do you like them?" After confirming that Shi Yao hadn't seen him chatting with her parents, Lin Jie's heart calmed down. He lowered his head to look at the flowers in his embrace before replying, "I like them. As long as they're from you, I like them." Lin Jie can even say words of love like that. Shi Yao blinked her eyes as she stared at the flowers in Lin Jie's embrace. Then she stared at Lin Jie's handsome face for a moment before reaching out to touch his face mischievously. She said, "But Lin Jie, do you know that I'm not the only one in the world? Compared to these flowers, I prefer this flower of yours." Lin Jie, was he being teased by her once more? If I were to write a book titled "Girlfriend Always Wants to Be the Main Character," what would happen? It would surely become a hit. Lin Jie's voice was so soft that Shi Yao couldn't hear him clearly. She raised her head and asked, "What?" "It's nothing. I'm just saying that you're mischievous." "Mischievous? The skin of a mantis shrimp?" "Lin Jie, is there any word that you can't associate with food?" "Lin Jie, no, it's Pipi Yao's skin." "Shi Yao, compared to Pipi Yao, I still prefer mantis shrimp." After dinner at the Lin family old residence, Lin Jie and Shi Yao didn't stay for long before leaving. This was because they had already booked a gathering at the Golden Resplendence many days ago. To be more precise, It was a gathering organized by Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou to celebrate Shi Yao and Lin Jie's ending singlehood. The people invited to the gathering were all familiar faces, Lin Jie's roommates and Shi Yao's roommates. However, Song Chaoshi didn't come because she was accompanying her wife on a trip to Chongqing. When Shi Yao heard the news, she was a little disappointed. Of the 4 roommates in Lin Jie's room, Song Chaoshi was the only one she hadn't met. She felt that Song Chaoshi was someone who lived in the sexy and frisky group. Other than that, there were also Liang Jixi, Lin Jie and Huang Yan. Shi Yao was the one who invited the Year of Desolation. This was because she remembered the discussion she had with Lin Jie back then, and it was to facilitate He Tian Tian and the Year of Desolation. Thus, when they were deciding on the name list, Shi Yao had specially mentioned the Year of Desolation, and Lin Jie was more than happy to have the Year of Desolation fall in love with someone else. Shi Yao and Xia Shangzhou were the first to arrive. When they arrived, only Lin Jie and Xia Shangzhou, who were having dinner with a client nearby, had arrived. Roughly 10 minutes later, He Tian Tian, Jiang Yue, Leng Wan, and the others arrived, followed by Lu Benlai, Desolate Year, and finally Liang Jixi. Due to his work habits, Xia Shangzhou had gotten used to serving Lin Jie. Even though this was just a private gathering, he still acted as Lin Jie's lackey, surrounding her like a lackey. When she finished her wine, he would immediately refill it. When she wanted to sing, he would immediately pick a song for her. When she wanted to eat nuts, he would immediately peel them. His attitude was even more Li-Lianying than when he took care of Empress Dowager Cixi. As for Lu Benlai, he naturally circled around Leng Wan. Even though Leng Wan paid him no heed, he still found it enjoyable. Chapter 890. Can I call you Desolate Year? I play Honor of Kings. What do you play? Even though Desolate Year was known for his vulgar words in the game, he was still a rather shy person in real life. After being stared at by He Tiantian's question, he felt a little embarrassed and replied, I play PlayerUnknown's Battleground. The furthest distance in the world is me in the King's Canyon, and you are on the island map. He Tiantian took a sip of wine with a sorrowful look on her face. After which, she turned to look at Desolate Year and said with a bright smile, But it's fine. I'm willing to help you conquer the entire island. Shi Yao was initially worried that He Tian and Desolate Year wouldn't have anything to talk about, but after seeing this sight, she quietly retreated to Lin Jie's side to worry about Jiang Yu. After all, out of the 4 girls in her dorm, 3 of them had someone accompanying them. Only Jiang Yu was pitiful. But while she was paying attention to He Tian, Jiang Yu and Liang Jixi had already started chatting with one another. Liang Jixi said, Your phone's screensaver is an anime? Jiang Yu said, Yeah, I'm a 2D fan. Liang Jixi nodded vehemently as if he had finally found a connection. That's right, who do you like? I like a lot of them. One Piece, Crayon Shinchan, Detective Conan. Jiang Yu recited a bunch of anime before asking Liang Jixi, What about you? What do you like? Liang Jixi scratched his head. Oh, don't be like that, uncle. The senior next door is always flirting with me. She even pounced on my Adonis in my dreams. These are all erotic comics. Shi Yao subconsciously shot a glance at Lin Jie. Noticing Shi Yao's gaze, Lin Jie immediately grabbed a pillow and threw it at Liang Jixi. In the end, before the pillow could be thrown out, Jiang Yu spoke first. Bro, you're actually still at the age of looking at porn. You're really pitiful. Let me tell you, I've already paid attention to real people such as Mist Song and Little Zay. Liang Jixi, I'm also paying attention to these real people, bro, but I get annoyed after watching them for too long. By the way, bro, who do you think is better, Mist Song or Little Zay? Jiang Yu thought for a while. Bro, I think they each have their own merits. Shi Yao widened her eyes in shock. You can actually chat like this? Lin Jie silently put down his pillow. Soft Bun's roommate sure is fearsome. Amidst this bizarre scene, an hour passed before Shi Yao finally received a message from Leng Wan. It's done. After reading through Leng Wan's message, Shi Yao didn't respond to it. Instead, she put away her phone and hurriedly finished the coconut milk sago in front of her. After which, she told Lin Jie, I'm going to the washroom, before standing up. Seeing her getting up, Leng Wan stood up as well, and the 2 of them left the suite together. Not too long after Shi Yao and Leng Wan left, Lu Benlai walked up to Lin Jie and asked, Boss, are you going to the washroom? Lin Jie didn't want to go, but recalling that Shi Yao had gone to the washroom, he nodded and walked out of the suite with Lu Benlai. After Lu Benlai entered the bathroom, Lin Jiege stood in the corridor waiting for Shi Yao. Out of boredom, he reached out for his phone hoping to kill some time. However, his fingertips brushed against something hard. It was only then that he remembered that he hadn't listened to the voice recorder he had received at his doorstep earlier in the evening. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiege brought the recording pen to his eyes and examined it for a moment before pressing on the switch. Chapter 891. There was a short burst of noise from the recording pen. About 10 seconds later, an aggrieved voice came from the recording pen. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. Lin Jiege felt that the voice sounded a little familiar, as if he had heard it somewhere before, but he just couldn't recall where. I know that you must be blaming me right now, and I also blame myself. It was a moment of muddle-headedness that caused me to make so many mistakes. After I was sent back to my hometown by my uncle, I did blame you, but I realized that behind my blaming you, I was also reminiscing about our past. Hearing those words, Lin Jiege finally realized whose voice it was. Liang Juxi's cousin. Could she be the one who had sent this recording pen to him? But according to Liang Juxi, she had been forcefully sent to a third-rate university overseas yesterday, and there wasn't even anyone to pay for her living expenses anymore. So, did she send this recording pen to him before she left? The voice on the recording pen continued. Yao? Can I still call you Yao Yao? Are you unwilling to forgive me even if I apologize? I know that it's hard for you to believe me after all the mistakes I've made. But Yao, do you know? I was blinded by greed, and I really know that I was in the wrong. I shouldn't have treated you like that. So, Liang Juxi's cousin was talking to Soft Bun? But why wasn't Soft Bun speaking at all? Just as Lin Jiege was making up his mind, Shi Yao's voice sounded from the recording pen. I can't go back anymore. What do you mean? Yao Yao, the meaning of your words, are you still not willing to forgive me? It's fine, I'm willing to wait. You can wait if you want to. It has nothing to do with me anyway. If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first. Hearing Shi Yao's words, Liang Juxi's cousin's soft voice suddenly turned furious. Shi Yao, you keep saying that you don't like Lin Jiege, but what's the truth of the matter? You're eating with Lin Jiege and you're even staying in his house. You even told me that you wanted to annul your engagement with Lin Jiege, but what about now? Have you annulled your engagement? Don't think that I don't know that the Lin clan is already preparing for your marriage to Lin Jiege. You've always been lying to me. You said that I've never been true to you, but what about you? Aren't you the same for me? We're each other. A slight frown formed on Lin Jiege's forehead. Why do cousin Liang Juxi's words sound so familiar? He seemed to have heard of it somewhere before. With such thoughts in mind, Shi Yao's voice sounded from the recording pen. Whether you believe it or not, I've never lied to you before. I was serious when I told you that I wanted to cancel my engagement with Lin Jiege, and it's also true that I don't like Lin Jiege. I have a life that I want to lead, and I have someone that I want to love. Lin Jiege subconsciously tightened his grip around the recording pen. It was no wonder why those words sounded so familiar to him. Back when he brought Soft Bun to Chengdu, Soft Bun had bumped into Liang Juxi's cousin at the Beijing airport. He had overheard their conversation and he had heard those words before. Chapter 892. If he wasn't mistaken, when Liang Juxi's cousin and Soft Bun bumped into each other at the airport, she had even made a recording of her apology. Liang Juxi's cousin must have intentionally left such a trump card up her sleeves. She's waiting for me to suffer a crushing defeat so as to use this video to drive a wedge between me and Soft Bun, so that I won't get off scot-free either, right? But even though he knew Liang Juxi's cousin's motive, he still couldn't help but feel the discomfort in his heart. Who was the person that Soft Bun wanted to fall in love with back then? Was she still thinking about that person now that she was with him? He was with him. In the dead of the night, in the middle of the night when she was thinking of him, would she still think of that person? Lin Jiege knew that he shouldn't be having such thoughts, but he couldn't control himself at all. It was because he liked her that he cared about her, and it was because he liked her so much that he even wanted to be a part of her past. Humans were always like this. When they didn't have what they wanted, they were already satisfied with what they had, but once they had it, they would want more. He had to admit that even though Liang Juxi's cousin had a lot of dirty tricks up her sleeves, this move of hers before she left had indeed struck a nerve. That was because everyone was sensitive and narrow-minded when it came to happiness. Boss. Boss, what are you daydreaming about? Lu Benlai, who had come out of the bathroom, saw Lin Jierge leaning against the wall with his head slightly lowered, and he couldn't help but call out to him several times. Recovering from his daze, Lin Jierge replied with an oak before staring blankly out of the window once more. Boss, what's that in your hand? Boss? Boss? Lu Benlai stretched out his hand and waved it in front of Lin Jierge. Lin Jierge hesitated for a moment before turning to look at Lu Benlai. Meeting Lin Jierge's gaze, Lu Benlai repeated his words once more. Boss, what's that in your hand? As if he hadn't heard Lu Benlai's words, Lin Jierge replied absent-mindedly, A long while later he finally replied with an oak before stuffing the recording pen into his pocket and staring blankly out of the window once more. Noticing that something was amiss, Lu Benlai stared at Lin Jierge for a moment before asking, Boss, did something happen? Lin Jierge shook his head silently. Boss. Lu Benlai was just about to speak up when Lin Jierge's phone suddenly rang. Lu Benlai shut his mouth and stared at Lin Jierge for a moment. Seeing that the latter wasn't picking up the call, he spoke up once more, Boss? Boss? A moment later, Lin Jierge turned to Lu Benlai and asked, What's wrong? Lu Benlai pointed to his pocket and said, Your phone is ringing. It was only then that Lin Jierge finally came to his senses. He reached out to grab his phone. He fumbled for his phone several times before he finally pulled it out. He stared at the screen for a moment before he stopped himself from answering the call. Lu Benlai's sharp eyes noticed that the caller ID on Lin Jierge's phone was 21, and he couldn't help but ask curiously, Who's 21? Lin Jierge ignored him. Lu Benlai pondered for a moment, but he didn't think that it was likely that Lin Jierge would leave a note for another female student, so he guessed, Little Junior? Noticing Lin Jierge's drooping eyelids, he knew that he had guessed correctly. Thus he continued, Boss, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and answer the phone. Chapter 893. The phone in his hand vibrated for a very long time, and just as it was about to quiet down, Lin Jierge tapped on the screen and answered the call. Even though he was feeling a little down, his voice was still very gentle when he spoke to Shi Yao. Yao Yao? Lu Benlai, who was standing by the side, had no idea what Little Junior was saying on the other end of the call. A slight frown appeared on Lin Jierge's forehead as he asked, Now? After which, Lin Jierge replied with a all right before hanging up. Boss, did Little Junior say anything to you? Lu Benlai asked curiously. Lin Jierge glanced at him and said, She wants me to head to the backyard now. Backyard? Why are you going to the backyard? Lu Benlai continued asking, but Lin Jierge ignored him. Lin Jierge began walking away and Lu Benlai quickly followed behind him. Of course his mouth wasn't idle either. That's weird. Didn't Little Junior and Wan Wan go to the washroom? Why would they head to the backyard in the blink of an eye? Boss, did you go the wrong way? This isn't the way to the backyard. It's the way back to the suite. Before Lu Benlai could finish his words, Lin Jierge walked out of the suite with a thick coat in his hand. So he's bringing a coat for Little Junior. Lu Benlai quickly shut his mouth. After leaving the main entrance of the Golden Resplendence, the two of them circled around the brightly lit building before finally arriving at the backyard. The red plum blossoms in the courtyard had already bloomed, and Lin Jierge and Lu Benlai walked along the cobblestone path for quite a distance. At this point, Lu Benlai couldn't help but ask, We're already at the backyard, why haven't we seen Little Junior and Nuan? Before he could finish his words, Lin Jierge suddenly stopped. Seeing that Lin Jierge had come to a halt, Lu Benlai also came to a halt. He swallowed the words that he was about to say, and just as he was about to ask Lin Jierge what's wrong, he followed Lin Jierge's line of sight and saw that there was a piano at the center of the plum grove. Seated right in front of the piano was the Little Junior that they were looking for. She was initially dressed in a simple sweater and jeans, but at some point in time, she had changed into a white sweater paired with a nude dress. In front of her and behind her were red plum blossoms. Red and white intertwined. Under the bright light, she looked like a fairy who had accidentally entered the human world. Putting aside the infatuated Lin Jierge, even Lu Benlai, whose heart belonged to someone else, had to admit that the current Shi Yao was breathtakingly beautiful. Lu Benlai noticed that Lin Jierge wasn't responding at all, so he turned to look at Lin Jierge. Just as he was about to remind him, Shi Yao suddenly spoke up. There was a microphone in front of her. Even though there was a distance between them, her voice could be heard clearly. I've listened to many songs, walked many roads, read many books and met many people, but what I want the most is to spend time with you. As soon as Shi Yao said those words, a smooth and moving melody flowed from her fingertips on the piano. It was a very quiet and slow piece of music. When it fell into people's ears, it gave people a very peaceful feeling. It took an entire minute before Shi Yao's voice finally sounded. I want to spend time with you, like lowering my head to look at the fish, or leaving the teacup on the table, wasting their beautiful shadows. P.S. The original lyrics came from the poem, I Want to Spend Time with You. Someone adapted it into a song and it's quite nice. Chapter 894. I still want to waste even the setting sun, such as taking a stroll until the stars fill the sky. I still want to waste when the wind blows, sitting in the corridor in a daze, until the dark clouds in your eyes are all blown out of the window. I've already wasted the world, but tomorrow I still want to waste it. It was the same quiet and slow melody again. Shi Yao's fingers danced across the piano keys. A winter breeze blew, bringing with it a bone-chilling chill, causing the red plum blossoms on the tree to fall. Separated by the falling flower petals, Shi Yao raised her head and met Lin Jie's eyes. The melody didn't stop and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. A gentle voice drifted across the night sky, bringing warmth and comfort to the night. I want to waste time with you, to waste the short silence, the long meaningless, to waste the delicate yet aged universe together, such as leaning on the railing, gazing at the mirror in the water. I've already wasted the world, but tomorrow I still want to waste it, to waste time with you. The 10 minutes of music and singing didn't leave one feeling bored at all. Instead, when it came to an end, it left one with a lingering sense of nostalgia. After Shi Yao finished playing the final tune, she sat quietly in front of the piano, staring at Lin Jie through the drifting petals of the plum blossoms. After a while, she reached out to pull the chair she was sitting on and stood up. A gust of wind blew, causing her dress to flutter in the wind. She stared straight into Lin Jie's eyes as she slowly walked toward him. In truth, she hadn't planned to do all of this. If not for the fact that she had accidentally bumped into him and her parents at the entrance of the Lin family mansion earlier that evening, she would have never thought of doing all of this. In their story, he had always been the one who took the initiative, and the one who took the initiative more and more. On the other hand, she hadn't properly expressed her feelings to him yet, so she had come up with this surprise with Leng Wan at the last minute to let him know that he liked her and she liked him too. Shi Yao stopped roughly a meter away from Lin Jie. Lu Benlai, who had been standing by Lin Jie's side, had already been dragged away by He Tian, who had also rushed over to watch the show. By the time Shi Yao stood up, Lin Jie was still staring at her, seemingly still in a daze. He was much taller than her, so she tilted her head upward and smiled at him. Lin Jie, I've tasted Huangshan's hibiscus cake, Beijing's roast duck, Yunnan's cross-bridge rice noodles, Hangzhou's Xilong bao, Chengdu's translucent beef jerky slices, Guillin's landscape rice noodles, and Qingyang Lake's hairy crabs. But all of the delicacies in the world can't compare to spending time with you. Lin Jie, I want to have with you Lin Jie, spicy rice Monday, spicy noodles Tuesday, spicy noodles as Wednesday, spicy as Thursday, as sweet and sour as day, sweet Thursday with as is sweet, Thursday to salt, salt as chicken Thursday, as sweet and sweet as Thursday, sweet Thursday, sweet as sweet and sweet Thursday, as sweet as sour salad Friday, as is bitter Friday, bitter as on Lin as day as. I want to savor the deliciousness of food with you. I want to walk home hand in hand with you. For the rest of my life, I want to spend every minute and every second of every day with you. I only want to spend them with you. So, Lin Jie, as Shi Yao spoke, she raised her clenched right fist toward Lin Jie and stared fixedly into his eyes. Slowly, she opened her palm and asked, "Are you willing to?" Chapter 895. As Shi Yao spoke those words, Lin Jie saw a ring lying in her fair and dainty palm. The design of the ring was exquisite, and the diamond was extremely small. However, under the refraction of the surrounding lights, the diamond shone brightly. It was so bright that it stung Lin Jie's eyes, and he couldn't help but feel a tinge of warmth in the depths of his eyes. It wasn't that he wasn't curious about what she was up to when she called him to the backyard, and he had thought of many possibilities, but he never thought that soft bun would actually propose to him. This was something that a guy should do, yet she did it. Although it was the other way around, he realized that he was very touched, so touched that he was in a complete mess. A woman should only put down her reservations and propose to a man if she truly liked him and cared about him, right? Just like that night when Han Jing slandered her, she took the initiative to ask him to be with her. She took the initiative to give him the most precious first night and the longest life of a woman. Lin Jiage felt as if there was something stuck in his throat, and it felt exceptionally uncomfortable. How if *kept up? A man like him actually felt like crying at this very moment? Seeing that Lin Jiage was staring at the ring in her palm, Shi Yao blinked at him before speaking up once more. Lin Jiage, why are you in a daze? Why aren't you putting the ring on my finger yet? Don't you want to marry me? Then, let's change the method. If you don't want to marry me, you can marry me instead. If you aren't saying anything, I'll take it as a silent agreement. After saying those words, Shi Yao grabbed Lin Jiage's hand, held his fingertip, and took the ring from her palm before slipping it onto her own finger. After which, she raised her finger to Lin Jiage's face and waved it around as if she was showing off. Lin Jiage, let me tell you this. You're mine for the rest of your life, so you won't be able to escape even if you want to. Lin Jiage, look. Isn't my proposal ring beautiful? Isn't it especially beautiful? Before Shi Yao could finish her words, Lin Jiage suddenly raised his hand, grabbed her shoulder and pulled her into his embrace. Then he hugged her tightly. He knew that he should say something to her, but his brain was like paste and he couldn't think of a single word. In the end, he could only hug her. He hugged her tightly, hugging her even harder. He hugged her so hard that he felt as if he wanted to embed her into his bones and blood. Shi Yao felt a little pain from his embrace and she couldn't help but frown as she muttered softly, "It hurts." Before she could finish, he said, "Don't talk." Instinctively, she shut her mouth. He loosened his grip on her a little, but it still hurt a little. She held it in for a while and couldn't take it anymore. Just as she was about to speak again, she felt something wet on her neck before the words reached her throat. It was as if someone had sealed Shi Yao's acupoints, causing her to freeze on the spot. After a while, she finally realized that the wetness was from his tears. She suddenly felt a little helpless. She only wanted to give him a surprise and let him know her feelings, but she never thought that things would turn out like this. She panicked for a moment before she felt a lump in her throat and her eyes reddened. With an aggrieved voice, she said, "Lin Jiaji." Chapter 896. Flustered, she uttered two gais, but before she could say a third word, Lin Jiage suddenly spoke up, "I love you." Due to the huge fluctuation in his emotions, his voice was a little hoarse, but there was a deep texture to it. The words that came out of his mouth were simple and easy to understand, but it made Shi Yao feel as if someone had sealed her acupoints once more. She fell into a daze in Lin Jiage's embrace, unable to move at all. A gust of wind blew and the rustling of the tree branches sounded. Another bunch of flower petals fell to the ground. Shi Yao's mind was completely blank. It took her a long time before her mind finally started working again. "I love you." He said, "I love you." Her already stinging nose felt even more sour, and hot tears flowed uncontrollably from the corners of her eyes. No matter how many words she could say, it was impossible for her to describe her feelings. She could only use her body language to respond to him. She raised her hands and wrapped them tightly around his waist, returning his embrace. This was a joyous occasion. Lovers finally found a way to be together, and she was filled with boundless joy. In fact, the corners of her lips couldn't help but curl up. However, the tears at the corners of her eyes only grew more intense. It didn't take long for her tears to drench the front of his shirt. It was clearly him, a man who wanted to cry because of her. Why was she crying like a tearful person now? Lin Jiage couldn't help but chuckle softly. Hearing his laughter, Shi Yao couldn't help but laugh along. After laughing, Shi Yao asked, "What are you laughing at?" "What are you laughing at?" "I'm happy. I'm very happy too." Another gust of wind blew and a whole flower fell on the piano keys, making a very light melody. Piano red plums and the two of them. That was the best time they had ever spent together in that winter. Before Lin Jiage and Shi Yao could finish hugging each other, the surrounding spectators had already begun to leave. The first to leave was Lin Jiai. She looked at Lin Jierge and Shi Yao and a phrase came to her mind, a match made in heaven. Then she recalled that someone had said the same thing about her and Enchanting 6 years ago. It was a summer day and she and Enchanting were eating shrimp noodles by the roadside. When an old shrimp noodle vendor was serving them a bowl of shrimp noodles, she asked, "Miss, is that your boyfriend? The two of you look like a perfect match, like a match made in heaven." After Lin Jie left, Xia Shangzhou didn't dare to stay any longer. Hugging her coat tightly, he chased after her and said, "Boss Lin, it's cold outside. Do you want to put on your coat?" Then, Desolate Year left because the scene in front of him was too cruel. It reminded him of his little cutie. Then he decided to go back to the private room and drown his sorrows in alcohol. Roughly 10 seconds after Desolate Year left, Tian noticed his presence. She immediately turned around and jogged over to him. "Desolate Year, you promised me that you'd add me on WeChat. Can we scan the QR code now?" Year of Desolation took out his phone, searched for the WeChat QR code and passed it over to Tian. Tian happily scanned the QR code. While adding Zhang Xian as a friend, she said, "I really hope that you have a QR code installed on your heart too. That way I'll be able to enter your heart just by scanning it." As soon as Tian said those words, Desolate Time, who had just added her as a friend, suddenly felt a little regretful that his hands were moving too quickly. This big sister is a little scary. Chapter 897. Leng Wan was just about to move when Lu Benlai suddenly spoke up. "Leng Wan, where are you going?" Ignoring him, Leng Wan continued walking toward the golden resplendence. Lu Benlai didn't mind that he was being ignored again and again. He quickly caught up to Leng Wan and asked, "Aren't you envious of little Junior's love?" Leng Wan continued to ignore him, but the lowered corners of her eyes revealed her envy and desolation. Lu Benlai didn't notice Luo Ruoxin's reaction at all. Seeing that she was ignoring him, he continued asking shamelessly, "Let me ask you another question then. Do you want to be together with little Junior?" Leng Wan continued to ignore him. It had been some time since Lu Benlai had confessed to Leng Wan. Perhaps it was due to the influence of the two of them, but after staring at Leng Wan for a while longer, he finally spoke up once more. "Leng Wan, I'm sincere. To tell you the truth, I've liked you since spring and it's already winter now. Can't you seriously consider me?" Leng Wan's footsteps didn't stop, and her expression didn't change at all. Her lips didn't show any signs of opening, but the fingertips hidden in her pocket were trembling slightly. "Leng Wan, what do I have to do for you to consider me? As long as you say it, as long as it's within my means, I'll do it for you even if it costs my life." Leng Wan continued walking forward silently. But Lu Benlai suddenly halted his footsteps. Staring at Leng Wan's back, he continued, "Forget it, I won't force you if you don't want to respond to me. For every day that you don't like me, I'll continue pursuing you. For every year that you don't like me, I'll continue pursuing you. In any case, day after day we'll just continue wasting time like this. There's still a long way to go." Leng Wan suddenly halted her footsteps. "I don't like to drag others down with me. If you really want to put an end to this, I'll do it for you." She stood with her back facing Lu Benlai for a while before slowly turning around. However, her gaze wasn't directed at Lu Benlai but the sky. She stared at the night sky for a long while before continuing. "It'll be Christmas in 20 days. If there's a heavy snowfall in Beijing this Christmas, I'll consider you. If not, please don't talk about your feelings in front of me in the future." As she spoke, Leng Wan turned to Lu Benlai and asked, "Can I?" Lu Benlai raised his head to look at the sky before turning his gaze back to Leng Wan. Without any hesitation, he nodded and said, "Sure." Leng Wan didn't expect Lu Benlai to agree to it so readily. She was stunned for a moment before turning around and walking into the grand hall. Lu Benlai stood on the spot, watching as her silhouette disappeared from his sight. Then he raised his head to look at the sky. In the end, only Liang Jisi and Jiang Yu remained in the backyard. The two of them stared at the hugging Lin Jie and Shi Yao for a moment before they began muttering amongst themselves in boredom. "Jiang Yu, bro, I still can't accept this kind of artistic and fresh style. I prefer the kind where you strip naked and do it." "Liang Jisi, we're allies. Anyway, I can't understand those emotional words of love. I feel that the beginning of a person is their true nature." "Jiang Yu, that's right. I don't agree with that at all. What I want is a harem of 3,000 male pets." Chapter 898. Right after they said those words, Lin Jiege suddenly let go of Shi Yao and lowered his head to kiss her. Jiang Yu's face immediately reddened. She raised her hands to cover her eyes and howled, "I'm still a baby." Liang Jisi abruptly turned his head around to face the kissing duo behind him. "The heck, I'm still a child. You're letting me see this?" Lu Benlai had known Lin Jiege for 4 years now, and he thought that he understood Lin Jiege quite well. However, he still couldn't understand why a person who seemed so preoccupied before heading to the backyard would suddenly turn into a completely different person the moment he returned from the backyard, slaughtering everyone around him as though they were nothing but dogs. Initially, Lin Jiege was still very gentle. After holding Shi Yao's hand and returning to the suite, he turned to look at Shi Yao and asked, "Do you want to sing? What song do you want to sing?" After Shi Yao replied to him, he immediately walked over to the karaoke platform and cut off Lu Benlai's engrossed performance of "If You Love Me, Follow Me." It just so happened that the climax of the song had been cut off, and Lu Benlai glared at Lin Jiege in displeasure. "Boss, what right do you have to cut off my song?" Lin Jiege leisurely walked up to him and snatched the microphone away from his hand. As he passed it back to Shi Yao, he turned to Lu Benlai and said, "Because Yao Yao proposed to me?" Following which, after singing a song for a while, he Tian suggested that they play a game. The rules of the game were simple. Everyone would count, and if the number was a multiple of 7, they would have to drink 3 glasses of wine. The men would have to drink wine, but the women would have to drink beer. Lin Jiege was the first one to suggest drinking liquor, but when Shi Yao said, "Let's just drink beer," he immediately gestured for the waiter at the entrance to bring the beer over. Liang Jisi grumbled in displeasure. "Henpecked." Lin Jiege's sharp ears caught Liang Jisi's words and he replied righteously, "I'm not henpecked. I'm the one who was proposed to by Yao Yao." After playing around until 11 in the evening, everyone started to get hungry. When it was time to order supper, Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou got into an argument with a female student over whether they should add spicy sauce to the barbecue. Lin Jiege, who was in charge of ordering, ignored Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou's opinion and ordered all of them spicy. Lu Benlai, Xia Shangzhou howled in dissatisfaction. Not only did Lin Jiege not feel the slightest bit of sympathy for them, he even looked at the two of them with a righteous look on his face. "I'm the one who was proposed to by Yao Yao, so I have the final say." Lu Benlai, Xia Shangzhou, did ordering takeout have anything to do with him being proposed to? What the hell did it have to do with him? What left Lu Benlai even more astonished was that Lin Jiege didn't eat much after the supper was served. Instead, he sat by Shi Yao's side, fiddling with the diamond ring Shi Yao had bought for him. On the way, a waiter was called over to deliver drinks. The attendant shot a few glances at Lin Jiege and Lin Jiege noticed it. He raised the diamond ring and asked, "Do you think that this ring looks good?" The waitress, who simply thought that Lin Jiege was too good-looking, could only nod and say, "Yes." Lin Jiege's lips curled up in satisfaction as he stared at the ring on his finger with an unconcealable pride in his eyes. "Thank you." Lin Jiege paused for a moment before adding, "Yao Yao gave this to me when she proposed to me." Unable to watch on any longer, Lin Jie bellowed, "Adam, have you had enough?" Chapter 899. Lin Jie tossed aside the potato chips in her hand and clenched her fists so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. "Can you stop saying that you were proposed to by Yao? I wouldn't dare to." Lin Jiege replied calmly. After which, he picked up a roasted chicken wing and placed it in front of Shi Yao's face. "Because I've already been proposed to by Yao Yao." Lin Jie took in a deep breath before taking another deep breath. Then she turned to Shi Yao and said with an unbelievably gentle voice, "Yao, control him." Receiving Lin Jie's instruction, Shi Yao hurriedly nodded before turning to glare at Lin Jiege and bellowing, "Fool! That's the fool you proposed to. That's the fool you proposed to. That's the fool you proposed to." It was only at 1 in the morning that everyone finally dispersed. Jiang Yu and He Tian had too much to drink, and the only one who was sober was Leng Wan. With Lu Benlai's help, she stuffed the two of them into a taxi and returned to Ji University. Before the taxi left, Jiang Yu was still very reluctant to part with Liang Jisi, who was still holding on to a mineral water bottle and calling him his wife. On the other hand, He Tian held on to Leng Wan's hand, calling him Desolate Yurt and Sweetie. Desolate Year drank a little too much, so Liang Jisi's chauffeur came to pick him up. Lin Jiage had Liang Jisi's chauffeur give Desolate Year a ride. As Lin Jiao's assistant, Xia Shangzhou had to drive, so he didn't touch a single drop of alcohol. Lin Jiao seemed fine when she was in the suite, but when Xia Shangzhou drove the car out of the underground parking lot, he saw Lin Jiao standing by the roadside, vomiting furiously into the trash can. Xia Shangzhou hurriedly stepped on the brakes and grabbed a bottle of mineral water from the trunk before rushing over to Lin Jiao's side. "Ms. Lin, are you all right?" Lin Jiao raised her head to look at him, but before she could say a word she began vomiting furiously into the trash can once more. Xia Shangzhou stretched out his hand and patted her on the back. When she finally calmed down, Xia Shangzhou unscrewed the cap of the mineral water bottle and passed it over to Lin Jiao. Lin Jiao took the mineral water bottle and rinsed her mouth before saying, "Thank you." Xia Shangzhou hurriedly took the remaining bottle of water from Lin Jiao's hands before saying, "Boss Lin, why don't you get in the car? I'll take you home." Ignoring him, Lin Jiao turned her head around to look at her surroundings before randomly choosing a direction and walking along the main road. Boss Lin, Xia Shangzhou chased after Lin Jiao and tried to pull her back into the car, only to be flung away by Lin Jiao. "I'm going to beat you up." Xia Shangzhou was so shocked that he took half a step back. Ignoring him, Lin Jiao continued walking forward. She was wearing high heels and her steps were unsteady. Chapter 900. Xia Shangzhou didn't dare to leave Lin Jiao alone here. Seeing that there was an empty taxi by the roadside, he said, "Boss Lin, why don't I flag down a cab to send you home?" Lin Jiao squatted on the floor, not moving at all. Xia Shangzhou called out once more, "Boss Lin," but seeing that there was still no response from her, he mustered his courage and grabbed Lin Jiao's arm, pulling her up from the floor. By the time Lin Jiao straightened her back, Xia Shangzhou realized that her face was already covered in tears. The words that he was going to say to send her home suddenly froze at the tip of his lips. Boss Lin is crying? The fearsome demoness who would kick down doors and shatter chairs at the slightest disagreement, the one who was even more valiant than a man, is actually crying? Xia Shangzhou stared at Lin Jiao for a very long time before he finally managed to speak. "Boss Lin, are you still all right?" As if she hadn't heard his words at all, Lin Jiao continued staring at him for a moment before she finally moved her lips. "What time is it now?" Xia Shangzhou glanced at the time on his wrist and replied, "It's almost 2 in the morning." "I see." Lin Jiao replied as her eyes suddenly turned a little blank. "Has a new day arrived?" "Yes, it's already the 3rd of December. Another year has passed. 7th year has come. 7 years. 7 years. He still hasn't returned," Lin Jiao muttered softly under her breath. Xia Shangzhou couldn't understand what she was saying. "Boss Lin, what do you mean by 7 years?" "He has left me for 7 years. Who is he?" Xia Shangzhou frowned. He was just about to continue asking Lin Jiao when Lin Jiao suddenly turned to him and asked, "Who are you?" Seemed like Boss Lin was drunk. She didn't even know who he was anymore. Xia Shangzhou moved his lips. "Boss Lin." Before he could say, "I'll send you back," Lin Jiao suddenly came to a realization and exclaimed, "Oh, you're a navigator, Xia Shangzhou." He really despised this name, but he didn't dare to reject it. "Navigator, do you know? I miss him so much. I think about him every day, but I don't dare to think about him every day. Say, are you men all so annoying? You clearly said that you would walk together for the rest of your life, but in the end, you left me alone." As Lin Jiao spoke, tears began flowing down her cheeks once more and she collapsed to the ground once more. She did not speak again, but her shoulders were twitching. Xia Shangzhou knew that Lin Jiao was crying. He had worked by her side for almost half a year. He had seen her send people flying with a kick, and he had also seen her throw documents in the conference room and scold the officials for being stupid. He had also seen her run a 100-meter race in high heels, but he had never seen her like this. So he was at a loss and didn't know what to do. He just stood there and watched her cry. After some time she finally calmed down. Her face was still buried in her arms, but she said, "Navigator, do you know my story with him?" Chapter 901. She was already 25 years old, but that him she spoke of was still 19 years old. So what she meant was that, when the him she spoke of was 19 years old, Xia Shangzhou had already guessed the ending of the story, but he still didn't dare to come to a conclusion. She didn't speak anymore. It was already 3 in the morning and the traffic on the streets had lessened significantly. Compared to the hustle and bustle of the day, the streets were quiet and empty. After a long period of time, Lin Jai finally spoke. Her voice was very soft, as if a gust of wind could scatter it, but it made Xia Shangzhou's heart ache for some reason. She said, "When I was 19 years old, he left this world and he left me as well." Xia Shangzhou was intending to send Lin Jai back to the Lin family mansion, but after getting on the taxi, Lin Jai said that she wanted to go to Jingfeng Villa. Xia Shangzhou knew of Jingfeng Villa. It was Lin Jai's personal residence in Beijing, but she rarely stayed there. In fact, the number of times she had returned in the past half a year could be counted on one hand. While the taxi was on its way to Jingfeng Villa, Lin Jai fell asleep. When the taxi arrived at Lin Jai's apartment, Xia Shangzhou called out to Lin Jai several times, but she didn't wake up. Xia Shangzhou stared at the sleeping Lin Jai for a long while before he finally paid the fare. Gritting his teeth, he bent down to carry Lin Jai into the elevator. Initially, he thought that Lin Jai would be very heavy because the impression she gave off was simply too valiant. But when Xia Shangzhou carried her up, he realized that she was really light, so light that he felt that she weighed no less than his cousin's 15-year-old daughter. When they arrived at Lin Jai's floor, Xia Shangzhou grabbed her thumb and unlocked the door. Pushing open the door, Xia Shangzhou walked in with Lin Jai in his arms, and in the next second he nearly threw the sleeping Lin Jai to the floor. The entrance was filled with high heels of all kinds of colors, the sofa in the living room was filled with bags of all kinds of brands, and clothes were strewn all over the floor. There were unwashed dishes and confiscated takeout boxes on the dining table that he could see at a glance. This unsightly room. Was it really a woman's room? How could it be in such a mess? Were the she-devil and Boss really siblings? Boss was such a neat freak that he loved cleanliness to the point that he had to clean the dormitory every day. Their socks were never allowed to be left unwashed overnight. But the female demon could turn a mansion worth tens of millions into a pigsty. They were obviously a family, but why was there such a big difference? Calming himself down, Xia Shangzhou carried Lin Jui and carefully avoided the clothes scattered all over the floor before entering the master bedroom. Her bed was also a mess. He placed Lin Jui on the sofa and took out a clean set of bedsheets from her changing room. After changing into them, he tossed Lin Jui onto the bed and covered her with a blanket. He wanted to leave just like that, but after taking a look at the extremely messy room, he walked to the door and finally turned back. Then starting from the dining room, he started to clean up the place square by square meter. 2 hours later, Xia Shangzhou wiped the sweat off his face and glanced at the clean room before preparing to leave. Chapter 902. She was wearing clothes, but it was winter. Even if there was a heater in the room, she might still catch a cold if she were to sleep like this. Xia Shangzhou hesitated for a moment before he eventually stepped into the bedroom. He bent down, picked up the blanket on the floor and carefully covered Lin Jui with it. But just as he was about to get up from the bed, Lin Jui, who had been sleeping soundly on the bed, suddenly reached out and wrapped her arms around his neck. Without any warning, she brought his upper body right before her. Xia Shangzhou was taken aback by this abrupt turn of events. Then he saw Lin Jui opening her eyes. There was an intoxicated look in her beautiful eyes, and he knew that she was drunk. She stared at him, and a breathtakingly beautiful smile suddenly blossomed on her exquisite lips. Then, as if she had seen the person she had yearned for day and night, she spoke in an exceptionally gentle and pleasant voice. "Enchanting, you're back, Enchanting? Is that a person's name?" Amidst Xia Shangzhou's confusion, Lin Jui spoke once more with that same gentle voice of hers. "Enchanting, what took you so long? I've been waiting for you for a long time." So his guess was right. This Enchanting was the lover she spoke of who had passed away? While Xia Shangzhou was deep in thought, he suddenly felt a warm breath brushing against his face. He snapped out of his daze, and in the next moment he felt a light kiss on his cheek. It was like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water. It was faintly discernible, but there was an intense numbness that spread from his face to every vein in his body, reaching straight to the bottom of his heart. This unfamiliar yet stimulating sensation made his body stiffen. Following which he felt Lin Jui's lips moving closer to his. Just as his lips were about to touch hers, she spoke once more, "Enchanting." Those two words jolted Xia Shangzhou back to his senses. Without any hesitation he pulled Lin Jia's hand away and dashed out of the door as if he was fleeing for his life. Xia Shangzhou even forgot to take the elevator. He climbed from the 30-story building to the first floor, and by the time he stepped out of the building, the chilly wind of the winter morning blew right into his face. He shivered uncontrollably before his mind gradually calmed down. He had left his jacket at Lin Jia's place, but he didn't dare to return upstairs to retrieve it. Instead he walked to the entrance of the neighborhood with his teeth chattering, and he stood by the roadside, shivering from the cold. It took him a while before he finally flagged down a cab and headed to the Golden Resplendence to retrieve Lin Jia's car. By the time he returned the car to Lin Jia's parking lot and hailed a cab back to the academy, it was already 6 in the morning. Xia Shangzhou, who hadn't been able to sleep the entire night, was already lying on his bed. He lay on the 1.2-meter-wide bed listening to Lu Benlei's heavy breathing, but no matter how hard he tried he couldn't fall asleep. It was as if a spell had been cast on his mind. Lin Jia's lips replayed over and over again, and the feeling when her lips gently landed on his cheek. After everyone had left, Lin Jia called for a waiter to settle the bill before leaving the Golden Resplendence with Shi Yao. Chapter 903. Lin Jia's car was parked by the roadside. When he reached out for his car keys, his fingertips brushed against the recording pen once more. His body stiffened and his footsteps abruptly came to a halt. Shi Yao, who was holding on to his other hand, also noticed his abnormality, so she stopped as well. "What's wrong?" As she spoke, Shi Yao turned to look at Lin Jia. Seeing that he was staring straight ahead, she followed his line of sight, but other than a few parked cars, there wasn't anything out of the ordinary. Perplexed, Shi Yao frowned as she turned to look at Lin Jia and asked, "What are you looking at?" Lin Jia finally snapped out of his daze. When he turned to look at Shi Yao, he caught sight of the tiny diamond ring on her finger from the corner of his eye. As if someone had comforted him, his heart immediately softened. He met Shi Yao's gaze and shook his head. "It's nothing. Let's go home." He walked to the car, but he didn't open the door. He admitted that he was feeling jealous. He wanted Soft Bun's first awakening of love, and those feelings belonged to him too. But things had already happened and time couldn't be reversed. No one could change it, and he couldn't keep harboring such thoughts. The past really wasn't that important, was it? At the very least, the current her was truly in love with him. With this thought in mind, Lin Jia quickly composed himself and raised his hand, intending to open the car door. But before his fingers could touch the handlebars, Shi Yao, who was standing beside him, suddenly spoke up. "Lin Jia, why don't you just leave the car here? There's no need for the chauffeur to come all the way here. Let's just take a stroll back. Take a walk?" Lin Jia frowned. It would take at least 20 minutes to get home by car. If they were to take a walk, how long would that take? Seeing the young man's reaction, Shi Yao could vaguely guess what he was thinking, so she spoke up once more. "Let's just walk in the direction of home. If we get tired from walking, we'll just call a cab home, alright?" There was no way he could reject her coquettishness. Without saying a word, he retracted his hand from the car and replied, "Alright." At 2 o'clock in the morning, there weren't that many cars on the streets. The people on the sidewalks were no longer coming and going like they were during the day. Not too long after the two of them started walking in the direction of their home, Shi Yao finally let go of Lin Jia's hand and hooked her arm around his, drawing closer to him. Perhaps it was due to the alcohol she had drunk earlier, but even though she wasn't drunk, her words were much more talkative than usual. "Winter in Beijing has always been cold. But this year I'm not afraid of the cold. Do you know why?" Lin Jia didn't say a word, but he turned his head to look at Shi Yao. "That's because I have you." After saying those words, Shi Yao giggled to herself. The corners of Lin Jia's lips curled up into a doting smile. Not long after, there was a pedestrian street. Many shops were closed and only one selling sweet potatoes still had its lights on. Shi Yao had Lin Jia wait for a moment before running over. After a while she came back with a paper bag. The paper bag was steaming hot and it was filled with a huge sweet potato. Shi Yao placed the sweet potato in front of Lin Jia's face, and Lin Jia took a symbolic bite before putting it down. Hugging the sweet potato tightly, Shi Yao nibbled on it with relish. Just as she was about to finish it, she suddenly thought of something and spoke up. Chapter 904. Come to think of it, it's been many years since I've eaten roasted sweet potatoes. The last time I had one was back in my first year of high school. It was winter back then, and there was an old man selling roasted sweet potatoes at the entrance of our school every day. When I heard that his wife had fallen ill, he relied on the income from selling sweet potatoes to buy medicine for her. Back then, I felt sorry for him, so he would buy a sweet potato every night for his self-study session. But then, speaking up to this point, Yao suddenly started stuttering. After that, there was a boy from the next class who was wooing me, and for some reason he noticed this habit of mine. So he started sending me roasted sweet potatoes 3 times a day, and whenever I rejected it, he would throw it away. You know how much I respect food, so I could only bite the bullet and eat it. But you can't possibly stop yourself from eating several pieces of roasted sweet potatoes every day, right? I told that boy several times to stop sending me roasted sweet potatoes, but he just wouldn't listen. In the end, I couldn't take it anymore, so I thought of an idea. I would return him a gift every time he sent me a roasted sweet potato and tell him that it was a token of my sincerity. After that, within a week, he started hiding from me. Do you know what I returned him a gift? Yao raised her head to look at Lin Jiege, and before he could say anything, she burst into laughter and said, "It's stinky tofu, huh?" Hearing Yao's answer, Lin Jiege couldn't help but burst into laughter. As Yao passed by the trash can, she tossed the bag of roasted sweet potatoes into it. After which, she hooked her arm around Lin Jiege and continued walking for a while. Now that I think about it, there are many things that happened in high school that were rather hilarious. Lin Jiege, there was a boy who wooed me back then. I stayed at the dormitory in high school, and that boy stuck cotton candy all over a tree under our dormitory. Now that I think about it, it's rather romantic, isn't it? But do you know, I felt so embarrassed at that time. When I was in my second year of high school, I became addicted to soda. Many boys would send me soda, and I managed to accumulate several hundred bottles that semester. In the end, I traded those bottles for several dozen RMB, and I used them to buy a lot of snacks. My greatest achievement was on Valentine's Day in the first half of my third year of high school. I received 68 love letters. Yao's words didn't stop there. She recounted all of the fun things that she remembered from the past. Toward the end, she couldn't help but tilt her head to look at Lin Jiege and ask, "Lin Jiege, what about you? Did you encounter a lot of fun things in middle school and high school?" "No. There must be. Tell me about it. I beg of you." Lin Jiege, all right, don't say anything. Let me think. Yao obediently shut her mouth and stared at Lin Jiege with her eyes brimming with anticipation. Half a minute later, Lin Jiege spoke up. "I represented the academy in the violin competition in my first year, and I won the first prize. He's ranked first in the entire Beijing Olympiad as a sophomore. First place in the 4th grade Olympiad. Tried to do the senior high school entrance exam in junior high school, only 1 mark short of a perfect score in math." Chapter 905. I participated in a mathematics competition in my 3rd year and won a huge sum of money. I entered G University as the top scorer in the National College Entrance Examination, and I earned over 10 million RMB in my first year. Hearing Lin Jiege's nonchalant tone, Yao, why don't you tell me the story between you and Be There? Be There? Lin Jiege was stunned for a moment before he realized that she was referring to Liang Xiao. Isn't that a thing of the past? Why is it being brought up now? Lin Jiege replied honestly, "There's no story between the two of us." "You're lying. Don't think that I don't know that she's the only girl who took supplementary lessons from you in junior high. When she left the country, you even sent her off. Furthermore, she chased after you in junior high, and she even pulled up a banner to confess to you." Lin Jiege. He couldn't even remember these things clearly, so how could she be so clear about it? "Lin Jiege, tell me honestly. Was there any unspeakable secret between you and Be There in junior high?" No. A second after Yao said those words, Lin Jiege immediately replied, "Liang Xiao did confess to me, but I rejected her." "How did Be There confess to you?" "How else could she have confessed? It's just something along the lines of 'I like you.' Then how did you reject her?" Lin Jiege couldn't remember it clearly. He pondered for a moment before replying, "I think I told her that I like mathematics, but I don't like you." Yao. So, Be There was a woman who lost to mathematics. And she was the woman who defeated mathematics? Who could have thought that after so many years she would still be able to defeat her most feared subject, mathematics? As for what you said about tutoring her and sending her off at the airport, those are all misinterpreted by others. She's on good terms with my sister, but Lin Jui is a good student except for her poor grades. She's always at the bottom of her class, and her mathematics scores have always been in the single digits from primary school to high school. Unable to put up with it, Grandpa had me tutor her, and it just so happened that Liang Xiao happened to be listening in on it. That's how those rumors started. As for her going overseas, it was because my sister wanted to send her off and Grandpa happened to use our chauffeur, so I ended up being ordered around by Lin Jai. That day there were a lot of cars driving into the airport, and by the time I parked my car in the parking lot, Lin Jai had already sent Liang Xiao off and called me to ask where I was. Hearing Lin Jier's long explanation, Shi Yao's heart leaped in joy. However, she still couldn't help but grab Lin Jier's arm out of curiosity and ask, "Could it be that you've never fallen for a woman before we got to know each other?" Lin Jier, no. Seeing that Shi Yao wasn't replying, Lin Jier added, "I really haven't." Lin Jier spoke up once more, "I'm really not lying to you. Putting aside my former classmates, I still can't tell who the girls in my class are even after we graduate." Shi Yao smiled in satisfaction. Then she added, "Lin Jiej, I didn't expect your survival instincts to be so off the charts." Lin Jiej didn't say a word. The two of them continued walking for a while before Lin Jiej turned to look at the smiling girl. Recalling the voice recorder in his pocket, he hesitated for a moment before asking, "What about you?" "What?" Chapter 906. All of a sudden Shi Yao's footsteps came to a halt. He had no idea what he was afraid of, but even his breathing had become subdued. Even his heart was beating erratically, and he couldn't help but hold his breath for a moment. After an indeterminate period of time, perhaps only 10 seconds or so, but to Lin Jiej it felt like an eternity, he heard her voice. "There's someone." Lin Jiej didn't dare to look at Shi Yao. The silence between the two of them was a complete mess. Roughly 3 to 4 seconds later, Shi Yao spoke up once more, "Lin Jiej, I don't want to lie to you. I really did meet someone that I once wanted to fall in love with." He knew the answer, but when it came from her mouth he still found it hard to digest it. As if something was stuck in Lin Jiej's throat, it took him a long time before he finally replied with an "oh." Shi Yao could tell that Lin Jiej was unhappy, so she leaned her head on his shoulder like a docile kitten and rubbed it lightly against him. Then she continued, "But that kind of love is different from what you're imagining. I don't know if you have a female celebrity that you like very much, but it's the kind that you can't help but daydream about being together with her one day. Take Sis Joy for example. She would always say that a certain male celebrity is very handsome, and every time she sees his photo she would say that he's her husband. Jiang Yu would hug Li Yifeng's pillow and say that it's her favorite. And the person that I once wanted to fall in love with is exactly that kind of existence to me. I'm not sure what you guys think, but almost all girls have the same youthful dream of being together with their idol. However, most girls know that it's just a dream and it won't come true. After all, take Jay Cho for example. Isn't Madame Cho his fan? In the end she ended up becoming his wife. It's really rare to see such a thing happen. So, it turned out that the person that Soft Bun once wanted to fall in love with was a certain celebrity? Which celebrity? Could he possibly be more handsome than him? Lin Jiej couldn't help but ask jealously, "Which celebrity do you like?" From now on, the Lin family wouldn't be investing in any of that celebrity's advertisements anymore. "He's not really a celebrity, but in my heart he's much brighter than a celebrity." At the mention of her idol, Shi Yao's eyes lit up. "He's my idol as well as my Adonis. I'm sure you'll be shocked to death if I tell you about it. He's an esports player who plays games. Up till now I still don't know what he looks like. I think I've mentioned him to you before. He's the Adonis that I spent 100 renminbi to support. He's from Legend A Squadron. He's also the person who's always suppressing you on the leaderboards. He's the one I once wanted to fall in love with." Lin Jiej, who hadn't dared to look at Shi Yao ever since he asked that question, slowly turned his head to look at her. Shi Yao didn't notice Lin Jiej's gaze. She was still immersed in her own thoughts as she continued, "He's very strong. Ever since he debuted he's won many championships. However, what I'm most impressed about him isn't how strong he is in the game but the depth and purity of his character. He plays games out of passion, and in this world there are very, very few people who are willing to do something out of passion. Chapter 907. Let me tell you, my Adonis's hands are really beautiful. They're so beautiful that they're just like the hands of the male leads in the manga. Their joints are clearly defined and they're both aesthetic and erotic. Lin Jiage. Aesthetic and erotic? What kind of description is that? Oh, you must not know what it means. Let me tell you, this is a little secret of us girls. It's used to describe those men who look clean and abstinent, but the more they look like in bed. So, to say that my Adonis's hands are aesthetic and erotic, it means that his hands are really beautiful. Everyone is curious about what he looks like when he touches a girl's body. Lin Jiage. So, girls can be so perverted too? I've learned something new. Ha, Lin Jiage, do you know that I overheard some girls discussing what you look like when you take off your clothes? Lin Jiage. Sure enough, when girls get hooligans there's nothing left for guys to do. Society. At this point Shi Yao couldn't help but gloat. But it's a pity that they won't be able to see it for the rest of their lives. Hearing those words, Lin Jiage couldn't help but chuckle softly. Hearing that, Shi Yao turned around and saw an unconcealable look of joy on Lin Jiage's face. To be more precise, it was a look of delight and ecstasy. It was just like the look on her face when she dreamed of a mountain of snacks. She didn't say anything at all. All she did was say that the girls in the book wouldn't even be able to see him take off his clothes. So why was he so happy? Shi Yao tilted her head and pondered for a moment. She couldn't help but feel that Lin Jiage's ecstasy was a little weird, so she asked, "What did I say to make you so happy?" "It's nothing." Lin Jiage's tone was very calm, but the smile on his face grew even more unrestrained. Really? You're a dog if you lied to me." Lin Jiage replied. In his heart he thought, I'm a dog, her dog. Shi Yao hooked her arm around Lin Jiage once more and began walking forward. After walking for a distance, Shi Yao suddenly recalled the stories she had shared with Lin Jiage about their time in middle school and high school, and she couldn't help but feel a little sad. Lin Jiage say, if we had gotten to know each other in middle school or high school, wouldn't we have gotten together then? Before he fell in love with Shi Yao, he didn't want to have anything to do with her. After falling in love with Shi Yao, Lin Jiage couldn't help but fantasize about how he would have gotten to know her much earlier. He couldn't help but feel a tinge of regret in his heart. However, Shi Yao's melancholy only lasted for a few short seconds before she got over it. But it doesn't matter. We're at the tail end of our youth and we've walked together. In a way, we've spent our youth with each other. As Shi Yao spoke, she couldn't help but feel that her intelligence was resonating with Lin Jiage. Lin Jiage, do you think I'm right? Something's wrong. Faced with Lin Jiage's denial, Shi Yao turned her head away in displeasure. I have accompanied you through your youth. Chapter 908. That's not what he meant. But Lin Jiage didn't say anything. Shi Yao took Lin Jiage's silence as a tacit agreement. After a moment of contemplation, she felt that it was a little embarrassing and pitiful for Lin Jiage to be 2 years older than her. So she consoled him, don't worry. I might not be able to accompany you through your youth, but I can accompany you through your old age. I promise that when you fall sick and are bedridden, I'll serve you with all my heart. I'll never pull out your oxygen tube, Lin Jiage. Should he be touched by Soft Bun's consolation or should he break down? By the time Lin Jiage and Shi Yao returned home, it was already 3:30 am. After taking a shower, Shi Yao regretted having a heart-to-heart talk with Lin Jiage. From 4 a.m. until dawn, Lin Jiage had been tormenting her in all sorts of ways. And while he was tormenting her, he didn't stop talking. Yao, have you ever imagined how I would look like after I take off my clothes? Then, have you ever imagined how I would look like when I kiss you like this? Have you ever imagined how my hands would glide across your skin like this? Have you ever imagined how I would love you so fiercely? Have you ever imagined how we would look like this, and this, and this? Lin Jiage woke up at 10:30 am, and as he recalled everything that had happened the previous night, his mind became so agitated that he couldn't sleep anymore. Eventually he picked up his phone, ran to the family chat and sent a message. I've encountered something that makes me happy. Half a minute later, no one replied in the family chat. So Lin Jiaj contacted his father, mother, uncle, aunt and Lin Jiai. His father Lin Gubei was the first to reply. Eat, sleep, beat son. I'll ask your mother for her opinion first. His uncle Xia Yang followed closely behind. Shui Yangyang sent an emoji. His aunt Lin Gunan was probably busy so she didn't reply. Half a minute later. Eat, sleep, beat son. Your mother has given her approval, so what did you encounter that made you happy? Finally, someone had responded to his words. Lin Jiaj raised his finger, but just as he was about to type out his reply, Lin Jiai suddenly spoke up. AM machine, if you dare to mention Yao Yao's proposal to you again, I'll rush up to you and give you a good thrashing right now. Eat, sleep, beat son. Daughter, I support you. Aunt Lin Gunan finally spoke up. Oh, so Jiaj's happy event is Yao Yao proposing to Jiaj. That's something to be happy about. Xia Yang's sharp eyes noticed that Lin Gunan's WeChat ID had changed from 20 kilograms, no change, to 24 kilograms, no change. Honey, why did you change your name again? 24 kilograms won't change your name. I've gained another 4 kilograms. Eat, sleep, beat son. Don't reduce it, you can't reduce it anymore. Seeing that the chat in the group had changed the topic, Lin Jiaj hurriedly went back to the main topic at hand. What I want to talk about isn't Yao Yao's proposal to me. I want to talk about something else that's worthy of my happiness. 24 kilos won't change your name. What's up? Shui Yangyang sent I'm all ears emoji. Eat, sleep, beat son. I went to ask your mother again and she told me to ask you what's up. Chapter 909. Less than 24 pounds slimmer. We don't want to guess anymore. Just get straight to the point. Shui Yangyang sent an emoji that said, what the person above said is exactly what they wanted me to say. Eat, sleep, beat son. Your mom said that you should hurry up and fart. Lin Jiai, wise mother. Lin Jiaj continued typing on his keyboard as he said what he wanted to say. To be honest, I'm afraid that I might scare you guys. Less than 24 pounds slimmer. I've always been the one scaring people, not the other way around. So feel free to say it. Shui Yangyang sent another emoji that said, what the person above said is exactly what they wanted me to say. Eat, sleep, beat son. Your mom said that if you can't scare her, I'll beat you to death. Lin Jiai, I'll do it. Immersed in his own emotions, Lin Jiaj continued to progress slowly. Speaking of which, I still find it hard to believe that such a beautiful thing could happen. Even now, I still feel like I'm dreaming. Less than 24 pounds slimmer. You sure talk a lot of nonsense. Shui Yangyang sent another emoji that said, what the person above said is exactly what they wanted me to say. Eat, sleep, beat son. Your mom said that you don't feel like you're dreaming. You're just itching for a beating. Lin Jiai, don't stop me. I'm going to kill him right now. Lin Jiaj, but I'm sorry to tell you that I can't tell you about this for the time being. Less than 24 pounds slimmer. What do you want us to do then? Shui Yangyang sent another emoji that said, what the person above said is exactly what they wanted me to say. Eat, sleep, beat son. Your mom said that she doesn't have a son like you anymore. Lin Jiai, if I say, I'm your grandpa, no one will mind, right? Less than 24 pounds slimmer. What do you think? Shui Yangyang sent another emoji that said, what the person above said is exactly what they wanted me to say. Eat, sleep, beat son. Your mom told you to watch your manners. Lin Jiai, I can't stay in this group anymore. Paying no heed to the frenzied crowd, Lin Jiaj continued typing. That's because I have to share something that makes me happy with Yao Yao first. Only after Yao Yao learns of it will you know of it. 24 kilograms slimmer. Shui Yangyang continued to send an emoji that said, what the person above said is exactly what you wanted me to say. Eat, sleep, beat son. A married son is like spilled water. Lin Ji sent a string of angry emojis. Lin Jiaj, I'm just here to tell you guys that I've come across something really delightful. Lin Jiai invited Yao Loves Ice Cream into the group. Lin Jiai, Yao loves ice cream, Yao, keep Lin Jiaj in check. Lin Jiaj leisurely picked up Shi Yao's phone and unlocked the screen with her finger. After which he entered WeChat and sent a voice message to the family chat. Sorry, Yao Yao is sleeping. Jiang Wangui, who hadn't spoken since the beginning, left the group chat. Eat Sleep Beat Sun left the group chat. Lin Jie left the group chat. Less than 24 pounds slimmer left the group chat. Shui Yongyong left the group chat. Chapter 9-10. But in the midst of his laughter, Lin Jie suddenly turned to look at Shi Yao, who was still in a deep sleep. There was something that he had to make arrangements for. She would surely be overjoyed when he was done and told her about it. With this thought in mind, he glanced at the calendar. There were still around 20 days until Christmas, so he could give her an unforgettable Christmas present. Lin Enterprise. Lin Jie, who was suffering from a severe headache due to her hangover, recalled Lin Jie's despicable attitude in the group chat, and she couldn't help but fling her phone onto her desk in anger. Coincidentally, Xia Shangzhou, who had just entered the office, saw this sight and subconsciously turned around to back away. The sharp-eyed Lin Jie called out to Xia Shangzhou, "Hold it right there." As if a puppet under her control, Xia Shangzhou immediately stopped in his tracks. "Come here." Hearing Lin Jie's command, Xia Shangzhou took in a deep breath with his back facing Lin Jie. He slowly turned around and walked over to his desk. He placed the documents in his hands on the table and leaped back a meter. Lin Jie shot Xia Shangzhou a perplexed glance. For some reason she felt that the GPS was acting weirdly today. After she was done signing the documents, she gestured for Xia Shangzhou to take them away. Instead, she maintained the same distance from him and reached out to take the documents. Why is the GPS avoiding me so far away? Could it be that something happened last night? Lin Jie tried her best to recall, but the only thing she could remember was that she was so dizzy at golden resplendence that she couldn't remember anything else. So she raised her eyebrows at Xia Shangzhou and asked, "Did I beat you up yesterday?" Xia Shangzhou hurriedly shook his head, and "Oh no. If I didn't beat him up, why does he look like he's trying to avoid me?" With this thought in mind, Lin Jie gestured for Xia Shangzhou to come closer. Xia Shangzhou stood on the spot, not moving an inch. "Pa." Lin Jie slammed her palm onto the table, and before she could even say a word, Xia Shangzhou had already leaped up to her and shouted, "Boss Lin." Faced with Xia Shangzhou's fawning tone, Lin Jie didn't say a word. Instead, she tugged on his tie and dragged him over to her side. She tilted her head upward and began examining him closely. As she drew closer, he could clearly smell the light fragrance on her body. His mind, which had finally calmed down, once again replayed the scene of her kissing his cheek in the early morning. His heart raced for no reason. The moment she opened her mouth, he abruptly raised his hand, slapped her hand away and took 2 steps back. Without saying a word, he fled the office. As the door slammed shut with a dong, Lin Jie frowned. She propped her chin in her hand as she stared in the direction where Xia Shangzhou had left, deep in thought. The navigator was really a little strange. The strangest thing was that he actually became bold and dared to resist her. This time around, Shi Yao didn't stay at Lin Jie's place for 3 whole days like the previous time. That afternoon, after she woke up, Lin Jie accompanied her for lunch and told her that he would be going on a business trip for a longer period of time. Furthermore, he would be quite busy, so he wouldn't be able to contact her every day. Since Lin Jie was busy with work, Shi Yao didn't stop him. Thus, after lunch, those who were going on a business trip or returning to school returned. This parting went on for more than 20 days. As the final examinations were approaching, Shi Yao immersed herself in her textbooks every single day, so she didn't think that the days were too difficult. But on the 23rd of December she received a call from an unknown number. P.S. This baby has a 3-line love letter for everyone. I love all of you. Chapter 9-11. This farewell lasted for more than 20 days. As the finals were approaching, Shi Yao immersed herself in her textbooks every single day, so she didn't think that the days were too difficult. But on the 23rd of December she received a call from an unknown number. Looking at the number, Shi Yao's first thought was that it was a scam or sales call, so she instinctively rejected the call. However, 5 seconds after she hung up, her phone screen lit up again. Are scammers and salesmen all so diligent these days? Shi Yao stared at the flickering screen for a moment, and seeing that the call didn't seem to have any intention of letting it go, she tapped on the button to accept the call. As she wasn't sure who the other party was, Shi Yao replied with a weak hello. But she didn't introduce herself. The other end of the call was silent for around 2 to 3 seconds before a gentle female voice sounded. "Excuse me, are you Miss Shi Yao?" "If you are." "Hello, Miss Shi Yao. I'm a staff member of AE team." "Isn't that my Adonis's team?" Shi Yao immediately tried to suck up to the other party. Hello. May I know why you are calling me?" Perhaps due to the huge difference in Shi Yao's tone, the woman on the other end of the call couldn't help but chuckle. Then she said, "It's like this, Miss Shi Yao. You were at the SDL finals and you even interacted with Legend. Do you still remember it?" Of course I remember it." Her Adonis, who rarely spoke in public, still spoke to her that day, even though it was just a single word, good. "Back then you told Legend to work hard for the PGI World League, and that you hoped that he could become the first world champion of PUBG. The PGI World League finals happened to be held on Christmas night, and the venue was the Bird's Nest. I wonder if you have the time to watch Legend's match live?" She had been keeping an eye on the tickets for the finals for many days now. But it was a pity that she couldn't even get one of the most ordinary tickets, let alone the VIP ones. With such thoughts in mind, Shi Yao replied regretfully, "Of course I want to go, but I don't have a ticket, so I might have to support Legend in front of my phone." "Oh, you don't have to worry about the ticket. I was asked by Legend to call you to tell you that Legend has prepared a ticket for you. So, do you have a look and see if it's convenient for you?" Convenient, even more convenient than instant noodles." Hearing Shi Yao's reply, the female employee on the other end of the call burst into laughter once more. "All right then. Leave me your address and I'll send the tickets over to you." Shi Yao replied with a thank you before passing the address of the school to the female employee. She waited for the other party to verify the information before hanging up the call. Not too long later, Shi Yao received a notification on her phone that she had received a package. Shi Yao happily took a screenshot and sent it to Lin Jierge's WeChat. "Lin Jierge, I feel like I'm going to make you a cuckold. What should I do?" For the past 20 days he had been really busy. His replies to her messages were always late. Sometimes he would only reply to her once every few days. So, faced with the silence from the other end of the phone, Shi Yao continued to type and send her message. "My Adonis actually still remembers me and even prepared a ticket for the finals for me. Say, what should I do if he were to treat me to a meal after the finals? What if I can't control myself and agree to him?" Chapter 9:12. "But don't worry, Lin Jierge. I'll try my best not to cheat on you so easily." As she typed, Shi Yao hugged her phone tightly and giggled foolishly. As it was mailed from the same city, Shi Yao received the ticket for the PGI finals the next morning. It was Christmas Eve, and Lin Jierge was so busy that he didn't even have time to send Shi Yao a message. The PGI finals was scheduled to start at 6 in the evening. As it was Christmas Day, the traffic in Beijing was already extremely congested before 4 in the afternoon. The journey from G University to the Bird's Nest took roughly 10 minutes, but Shi Yao took nearly an hour. Just like the previous time in Shenzhen, the queue to enter the stadium was extremely long, stretching all the way to the side of the road. The ticket that AE team had mailed to her this time was also for the VIP seats. She easily entered the stadium through the almost empty VIP passage. Even though there were still many people who hadn't entered yet, the Bird's Nest was already packed with people. It took Shi Yao quite some time before she finally found her seat. She was still seated in the first row, the kind where she could see the contestants on the stage with just a lift of her head. There were still around 20 minutes before the start of the match. Shi Yao sat in her seat, chatting with Leng Wan He Tian and Jiang Yu in the dormitory group chat. Suddenly she heard a female student shouting behind her. Legend posted on Weibo. He said that today will be his final match. There were quite a few Legend fans in the stadium. Even though they didn't know each other, some of them still chimed in. "Are you for real? God L is going to retire?" Previously on the forum I saw someone say that God L was going to retire after the SDL competition during the summer break. But for some reason he decided to compete in the PGI World League. But at that time there was no official announcement. Maybe it was just a rumor. But now God L has said it himself. Hearing the discussions around her, Shi Yao was stunned for a moment before she tapped into Weibo. Entering Legend's homepage, Shi Yao immediately saw the post that he had posted about 15 minutes ago. Thank you, my teammates and all of you. The PGI World League will be my final battlefield. I want to say that I'm leaving. I want to say that I'm coming. In just a short 10 minutes, the number of comments under the post had already exceeded 10,000. Shi Yao tapped into it and took a look at the trending comments. Some were reluctant, some were sad, and some were happy. In fact, she had come to watch Legend's match today with the mentality of saying goodbye to the infatuation she had when she was young. But now that he was really going to retire, she couldn't help but feel a little sad. For a moment, her originally excited and passionate heart became a little depressed and sorrowful. Shi Yao stared at Legend's Weibo for a while. She wanted to say a few words, but there were too many things she wanted to say in her heart. In the end, she could only reply with a few words. Goodbye, my dreams. Weibo Yao tit say, teek to say I, s, teet comma teek. T, d, teet yao, teet he, yin legend king legend, teal deet legend, t. T yao only, t from, t's only t yao yao. Chapter 9:13. At 6 o'clock the match began punctually. Perhaps it was because it was Legend's final match. When AE team walked onto the stage, many people were shouting Legend in a frenzy. This was the last time they would be cheering for their beloved idol, and it was also the last time they would be cheering for their beloved idol live. In that instant, the outcome of the match didn't seem that important anymore. What was more important was to fully immerse oneself in the match. Due to the fact that it was an international tournament, the venue this time around was far grander than the previous two tournaments that Shi Yao had seen. She looked at the exquisitely lit stage and Legend, who was standing not too far away from her, and memories of the past suddenly flashed across her mind. If not for Legend, she wouldn't have come into contact with PlayerUnknown's Battleground, and she wouldn't have met Mr. Numbers, Juice, and Expert. She wouldn't have learned of the many things that Lin Jierge had done for her through the game. Just half a year ago, during the match in Shenzhen, when she looked at Legend, she couldn't help but think of Lin Jierge several times. Back then, she still thought that she was blatantly defaming her Adonis. Today, looking at Legend at the tournament venue, she couldn't help but recall the past and her feelings back then. She found it a little hilarious, but at the same time she also felt a little touched. While the bird's nest was bustling with activity over at G University, many people had gone on dates, and those who weren't on dates had gone out to celebrate the holidays with their friends. The entire campus felt a little empty. Shi Yao had gone to watch the tournament, Tian and Jiang Yu had gone to watch a movie that was going to be released on Christmas Day, so Leng Nuan was the only one left in the dormitory. Regardless of whether there was someone around or not, Leng Nuan was always the one who could calm down the most. At this moment she was holding a book in her hands, and just like how she usually did when everyone was shouting and yelling in the dormitory, she was focused on her book. The dormitory was very quiet, so quiet that she could hear people running and laughing along the corridors from time to time. She flipped through page after page of her book, and the more she read, the slower her speed became. Eventually she would even glance at the time on her phone from time to time. 9 o'clock, 9:20, 9:40, 10 o'clock. Christmas would be over in 2 hours. Outside the window there was no sign of snow at all, except for the bone-chilling winter wind. In fact, not snowing was what she wanted, wasn't it? There was very little snow in winter in Beijing, not to mention on Christmas Day. It was a scene that only happened once in a blue moon. When she said those words to Liu Benlai, she was thinking that he wouldn't waste his time and life on her anymore, wasn't she? Reining in her drifting thoughts, Leng Nuan continued reading her book. When she saw the words Raging Inferno, her thoughts drifted away once more. Not too long ago in the suburbs, the hot spring resort, the fire, that young man, and the voice that kept calling her name. It was as clear as day, as if it had just happened. There had been people who confessed to her, but he seemed to be the only one, right? Unbeknownst to Leng Nuan herself, her fingertips had already tightened around the book in her hands. Chapter 9:14. Hearing that voice, Leng Nuan subconsciously turned around and saw that it was really snowing heavily outside the window. How could this be? The weather forecast clearly said that it would be a sunny day, Ling Wan frowned. After confirming that she wasn't seeing things, she stood up and ran to the window. Opening the window, she was greeted by the frigid weather. Ling Wan, who was only wearing a thin pajamas, shuddered involuntarily. She reached out to catch a few flakes of snow. The snowflakes that landed on her fingertips didn't feel cold, nor did they melt upon contact with her body temperature. When Ling Wan brought the snowflakes closer to her eyes, she was able to discern that they weren't snowflakes at all. They were foam that resembled snowflakes. It's not snow. It's fake snow. Who did this? It looks pretty realistic, as if it's really snowing. It's so beautiful. Look, it's not snowing at the field. It's only snowing at our dormitory building. As more and more people opened their windows to watch the show, Ling Wan seemed to have thought of something, and she looked around the building. As the fake snow was created using a foam machine, it didn't take long for the ground to be covered in white. Other than a few passers-by who kept raising their heads to take photos with a few female students, Ling Wan immediately saw Lu Benlai standing at the bottom of the dormitory building. He was dressed in a red down jacket, and it looked particularly eye-catching amidst the white snow. He was wearing a Christmas hat that covered his bald head, and with his hands in his pockets, he was staring at her dormitory building. Due to the distance, they couldn't see each other's expressions clearly, but they knew that they were looking at each other. After some time, Ling Wan saw Lu Benlai take out his phone, and her phone started ringing behind her. She knew that he was the one who called. She stood by the window and stared at him for a while before walking to her bed and picking up her phone. She swiped the screen and answered the call. She opened her mouth to speak, only to realize that her usual composure and self-control had been shattered. In the end, she decided to shut her mouth. Ling Wan. Lu Benlai's voice sounded from the other end of the call. Ling Wan didn't say a word. Instead, she raised her phone and walked back to the window. When he saw her from downstairs, he continued, "This snow is for you. Let's name her Ling Wan. Do you like it?" Ling Wan remained silent, but her fingers, which were holding onto her phone, were trembling slightly. "I know that you grew up in the south, so you've never seen snow before, but it's fine. Let's see something similar for now. When it really snows in Beijing one day, I'll treat you to the Forbidden City." Perhaps it was due to the cold, Lu Benlai's teeth were chattering as he spoke. "If you don't like it, I'll buy a ticket for you in advance, and you can find someone you like to accompany you. I've seen the Forbidden City once, and it's really beautiful. Especially when the sun shines down on the white world, it feels like a paradise on earth. It's much more beautiful than those scenes you see in television dramas." Chapter 9:15. "Wait, get over here right now." Following the furious roar of the Educational Administration Department, Lu Benlai's yes 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 voice sounded from the other side of the phone. Following which, Lu Benlai hurriedly spoke into the phone, "Ling Wan, Merry Christmas." Before Ling Wan could say anything, Lu Benlai had already hung up the phone. Standing by the window, Ling Wan watched as Lu Benlai scuttled over to the Educational Administration Department with his head drooped low as he endured his reprimand. Amidst the harsh reprimand from the Educational Administration Department, Ling Wan raised her head to look at the snow falling from the sky. Not too long later, the snow finally stopped, and the Educational Administration Department stormed out angrily. Lu Benlai picked up a broom and began sweeping his masterpiece. Ling Wan stared at the busy male student downstairs for a while before closing the windows and drawing the curtains. She then took out a set of clothes from the wardrobe and changed into them. After which, she went to the washroom to grab a broom before heading down. She had barely left the female dormitory, but before she could even sweep the floor, Lu Benlai's sharp eyes had already spotted her. Dragging the broom with him, he ran up to her and said, "I don't need your help. It's so cold here, you should hurry back to the dormitory. I can handle this alone." Seeing that Ling Wan wasn't moving at all, Lu Benlai spoke up once more, "I'm serious. I really can handle this alone. Let me tell you, I've already thought of the consequences before I did this, so I prepared a broom beforehand. Look, isn't this broom of mine especially big? I bought it from Toba. Your broom is way too small, so it'll really take forever to clean this place. Also, you don't need to worry about me, I won't freeze. I've even put on the long johns that I've treasured for so many years just for tonight." Before Lu Benlai could finish his words, Lung Nuan suddenly spoke up. Her voice was as calm as ever. You win. Lu Benlai stared at Lung Nuan silently. Lung Nuan swallowed a mouthful of saliva and avoided his gaze. That day at Golden Resplendence, I said that I'll consider you if it snows on Christmas Day. You won. Lu Benlai's lips curled into a smile, and a gust of wind blew his Christmas hat to the ground. His hairless head fell into Lung Nuan's eyes. It was a comical sight, but for some reason Lung Nuan couldn't help but feel envious. She turned her head away and heard him say, "Thank you for going easy on me, Lung Nuan." Without saying a word, Lung Nuan turned around and entered the dormitory with a broom in hand. As Lu Benlai watched her leave, his eyebrows shot up as he howled, "Don't worry, one day I'll make sure that your surname is Lu." Mrs. Lu. Lung Nuan paused for a moment, but she didn't turn around. At 10:45 the match ended. A team won the PGI World League. The cheers in the Bird's Nest Stadium were deafening. Seated in her seat, Shi Yao stared at the screen in the hall, and she suddenly recalled the words she had said to Legend back in Shenzhen. Legend. It's none of your business. Whether you succeed now or fall into dire straits in the future, you'll always be the light that shines in my heart. I'm not your teammate, so I can't risk my life for you, but I can cheer for you. As long as it's your dream, it's my dream too. I want to be your little fangirl forever. Finally, I wish you all the best for the PGI World League. I hope that you can become the first world champion of PlayerUnknown's Battleground. Back then, just when everyone thought that Legend wouldn't say a word, he did, even though it was just a single word. All right. But now everything had come to fruition. Her blessings and his promise had come true. From now on, Legend would just be a legend, and her youthful dreams would just be a dream. Many of Legend's fans were shedding tears as this was the final match. Even Shi Yao's eyes reddened. After leaving the Bird's Nest Stadium, Shi Yao was unable to calm her raging emotions. The first thing that came to her mind was to look for Lin Jiege, but before she could call him, the phone in her bag suddenly rang. Chapter 9:16. Shi Yao had no idea who the caller was, so she calmed her emotions down before taking out her phone. The caller was Lin Jiege, the person she was looking for. Shi Yao quickly picked up the call, and before Lin Jiege could speak, she spoke up first. "Lin Jiege, I'm fine." Before Shi Yao could finish her words, Lin Jiege seemed to know what she was going to say, and he interrupted her. "Yao Yao, where are you?" "Me." Shi Yao glanced at the crowd that had mostly dispersed before replying. "I just left the tournament venue. Did you come out from the North Gate?" Look straight ahead. The Four Seasons Hotel is on the other side of the road. Do you see it?" Following Lin Jiege's instructions, Shi Yao raised her head and looked ahead. Through the traffic on the street, she saw the logo of the hotel with a single glance. She nodded before replying, "I see it. What's wrong?" "Come to the hotel, room 2101. Lin Jiege called her to the hotel. 3 seconds later, Shi Yao came to a realization and asked, "Lin Jiege, you're back in Beijing? When did you come back? Also, why didn't you call me when you were back? Even if you didn't call me, you could have just gone home. Why are you staying in a hotel?" Shi Yao asked a few questions, but before Lin Jiege could reply, she realized that she had gotten a little too agitated, so she quickly added, "Wait for me, we'll talk about it later." It had been more than 20 days since they last met, and Shi Yao really missed Lin Jiege. Thus, the joy of their reunion temporarily washed away the heavy feelings that Legend had brought to her. After hanging up the call, Shi Yao didn't hesitate any longer and headed straight for the Four Seasons Hotel. Perhaps it was due to the proximity of the Four Seasons Hotel to the tournament venue. Many professional teams chose to stay in this hotel. When Shi Yao arrived at the entrance, she noticed that there were quite a number of people gathered outside. Many of them were holding placards that were filled with words of encouragement for their favorite teams. Shi Yao didn't have a room card, so she couldn't head upstairs. Thus, when she reported her room to the front desk, the receptionist didn't bother asking any questions, nor did she inform Lin Jiege, who was upstairs. It was as if they had already made an appointment beforehand, and the receptionist immediately made a new room card for her. She stepped into the elevator, and along the way up, the doors opened one after another and a few young men walked in. Shi Yao recognized some of them as participants of the tournament. One of them was even from AE Squadron, and he was even wearing the uniform of AE Squadron. Not too long ago he had worked together with Lin Jiej to eliminate a team in Jorgapal. As the elevator rose higher and higher, the number of people in it gradually decreased. In the end, only the professional player from AE team and Shi Yao were left. When they reached the 21st floor, the elevator doors opened. As Shi Yao walked out, the member of AE team followed closely behind her. The two of them couldn't help but look at each other, then walked along the corridor with suspicion in their hearts. The member of AE team stopped at the entrance of room 2103. When he swiped his room card to enter the room, he shot a glance at Shi Yao. Seeing that she had stopped at the entrance of room 2101, not only did she not enter the room, she even craned her neck to look at Shi Yao curiously. Shi Yao had a room card in her hand, so without knocking on the door, she swiped it and entered the room. Chapter 9:17. After closing the door, Shi Yao happily called out Lin Jiej before running back into the suite. She had intended to give Lin Jiej a longing hug as soon as she saw him, but barely after taking a few steps, she saw the figure standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window with his back facing her. It was as if someone had struck her acupoints and she suddenly froze on the spot. Even the words "I miss you" that she was about to say disappeared from her throat before she could say a single word. Lin Jiej was the one who had called her to come to room 2101. But the person standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window was wearing the uniform of AE team. Even though she couldn't see the person's face clearly, just the L on his back was enough to let her know that this was the Adonis whom she had admired, loved, followed, and believed in for many years. Legend. It was no wonder that the AE team member had been looking at her with a probing gaze when she was walking up the stairs. Thinking about it, this floor was filled with people from AE Club. He must be curious about who she was looking for. So this wasn't Lin Jiej's room but Legend's? Could it be that Lin Jiej knew that she liked Legend before he returned to Beijing, so he prepared such a surprise for her so that she could get close to her Adonis? But wasn't Lin Jiej a little too ambitious? A man and woman alone in the middle of the night, not to mention the person she had once been infatuated with. Wasn't he afraid that she would really plant grass all over his head? Even though she knew that she wouldn't do that, with such thoughts in mind, Shi Yao turned to Legend, who had his back facing her, and said, "That God LH hello. Shi Yao. It's my boyfriend Lin Jiej who asked me to come over." Legend, who had his back facing her, didn't say a word. The room was silent. For some reason Shi Yao felt that the atmosphere was a little awkward, so she spoke up once more. "Well, congratulations my idol. You've clinched the champion of the PGI World League. Your performance tonight was really cool, especially that triple kill in the final circle. But I did see your Weibo and the news that you're retiring. It's a little regretful, but no matter what, I hope that you'll have a clear conscience in the future." Shi Yao said a lot of words, but Legend didn't respond at all. In the end, Shi Yao couldn't find anything else to say anymore, so she closed her mouth. She felt that the atmosphere in the room became even more awkward. In any case, her Adonis wouldn't let anyone know what he looked like. Since she had already seen him, even if it was only his back view, it would still be enough to fulfill her wish. For the sake of Lin Jiej's reputation, she should just leave. With such thoughts in mind, Shi Yao broke the silence once more. "Idol, it's Christmas today. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I still need to call my boyfriend, so I'll be taking my leave first. Bye-bye." After saying those words, Shi Yao took 2 steps back, looking as if she was about to turn around and leave. Legend, who had been silent ever since Shi Yao entered the room, suddenly spoke up. "Wait a moment." The voice was very familiar, so familiar that Shi Yao felt as if it was the person who had been sleeping beside her. Shi Yao subconsciously halted her movements and stared at Legend. No matter how she thought about it, she couldn't believe that he was Lin Jiej. Perhaps it was because she hadn't seen Lin Jiej for a very long time that she was hallucinating earlier. Based on the script, shouldn't Soft Bun be agitated upon seeing that he was the Adonis whom she couldn't forget for many years? Shouldn't she be so moved that she would leap forward and hug him while shedding tears of gratitude? Lin Jiage, quickly return your uniform and change into your own clothes. Let's go for supper. I'm getting hungry from watching the match. Lin Jiage. Chapter 919. A slight frown appeared on his forehead, but he didn't reply to the person on the other end of the call. Instead, as if he had guessed something, he turned to Shi Yao and asked, "Did you bump into someone from AE squad on your way up?" Shi Yao had no idea how Lin Jiage managed to guess it, and she was also curious as to why he would suddenly ask such a question. Thus, she nodded in response. Lin Jiage immediately understood what was going on. It was no wonder they were calling me non-stop. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiage brushed past Shi Yao's body, walked up to the door and pulled it open. "Ah, Peng, you're crushing me." Following the opening of the door, Shi Yao saw a few people crawling all over the floor. They were dressed in the exact same combat uniform as Lin Jiage, and they raised their heads to look at the lofty Lin Jiage before them with fawning smiles on their faces. But why would someone from AE squad be eavesdropping at the door? As this thought flashed across Shi Yao's mind, she heard the people at the door speaking up one after another. "Captain, Captain, how did you know that we were at the door? Hey, who's that person? Isn't it sister-in-law? Oh, Captain? Is he referring to Lin Jiage? So I've misunderstood. Is Lin Jiage really a legend?" Just as Shi Yao was digesting this shocking news, the male student who had taken the elevator with her suddenly leaped up to her and greeted, "Sister-in-law, nice to meet you." Following which, the rest of the group got up from the floor and scrambled over to Shi Yao's side. "Sister-in-law, nice to meet you. Sister-in-law, what's your name? Captain sure is something. He actually managed to hide it from us for so long. It's no wonder he kept peeking at his phone during the training over the past 20 days. He must have been sending a message to sister-in-law." These people were simply too passionate, so much so that Shi Yao didn't know how to deal with them. In the end, she could only turn a pleading gaze toward Lin Jiage. Seeing Shi Yao's gaze, Lin Jiage cleared his throat. In an instant, the chattering male students around Shi Yao fell silent. "Now that you've seen me, can we leave now?" Following Lin Jiage's words, the crowd chuckled gleefully before dispersing and leaving room 2101. It was only after the door closed and silence returned to the room that Shi Yao's gaze finally fell on Lin Jiage. She stared at him for a long while before she finally asked a question that she found hard to believe. "Lin Jiage, are you really my Adonis?" "Yes." "Then, Adonis, are you really my boyfriend Lin Jiage?" Lin Jiage was rendered speechless for a moment. He raised his wrist to take a look at the time, and as if he was calculating something, he said, "Yao, I'll go wash my hair first. You should digest this news first." Before Shi Yao could respond, Lin Jiage had already entered the bathroom. After a while, the sound of running water came from the bathroom. When the sound of flowing water finally stopped, a thought suddenly came to Lin Jiage's mind. While wiping his dripping hair with a towel, he pulled open the bathroom door and said, "Yao Yao, I've prepared a present for you. It's in the coat pocket by the floor-to-ceiling window. Go and take it yourself." Chapter 920. With a single glance, she saw Lin Jiage's jacket lying on the sofa in front of the French window. She bent down to pick up Lin Jiage's jacket, only to realize that it was a little heavy. She felt around the pockets, and in the inner pocket of the jacket she found an exquisite velvet box. Opening it, she saw a sparkling diamond ring inside. Compared to the ring she'd proposed to him at Golden Resplendence, the diamond on this ring was like a pigeon's egg. Based on her understanding of the value of diamonds, if she were to wear this ring out, it would be as good as carrying a mansion in the heart of Beijing with her wherever she went. While Shi Yao was still in a daze, Lin Jiage's voice suddenly sounded in her ears. "Yao Yao." Shi Yao turned her gaze over, only to see Lin Jiage, who had at some point washed his hair and blown it back into a beautiful hairstyle. Holding a bouquet of fresh flowers in his hands, he was walking toward her. It was only when he finally stopped in front of her that she finally straightened her body in a daze. She stared at him and moved her lips, but no sound came out. He stared into her eyes and said, "The match in Shenzhen back in August was supposed to be the final match of my professional career, but because a woman told me that she hoped that I could clinch the championship of the Winter PGI World League, I chose to fight another match without any hesitation. In the previous matches I fought for my passion for the club, for my teammates and for the fans who supported me. But for tonight's match I didn't fight for anyone but that woman. When I posted on Weibo that I wanted to say that I was leaving, it was meant for Myriad Worlds. As for the latter part, I wanted to say that I was coming, it was meant for that woman. To Myriad Worlds, a legend is just a legend from now on, but to that woman, the legend belongs to her alone from now on. The woman told me that she's going to bid farewell to my childhood dream, and I replied to her with a goodbye. The woman told me that we'll never meet again, and I told her that we'll meet again later on. The girl also told me that almost all girls have a teenage dream of being with their idol. But all girls know that it's just a dream and it won't come true. After all, it's rare to see someone become Mrs. J. Chow's wife. And today I want to ask you, such a rare opportunity has been placed in front of you. Are you willing to take it? Will you marry me? Yes, yes, of course I'm willing, Shi Yao nodded vehemently without any hesitation. Lin Jierge put down the flowers in his embrace and took the diamond ring from her hand before slowly putting it on her finger. In the process of putting the ring on her finger, Shi Yao suddenly recalled the words that Lin Jierge had said to her that night. I've walked with you through your youth. The meaning behind those words was clear. He was telling her that even though he hadn't walked with her through her youth as Lin Jierge, he had always been by her side as a legend. The dream of her youth, the dream that she always thought she didn't dare to come true, was fulfilled by him. To her, Lin Jierge was the best Lin Jierge in the world. After putting on the ring, Lin Jierge stood up, and Shi Yao abruptly leaped into his embrace and hugged him tightly. He had moved her a lot, but at this very moment she couldn't help but feel touched once more. She leaned against his chest, crying and laughing at the same time. She also felt embarrassed, but she just couldn't control her emotions. She felt that there were many things that she wanted to say to him, but she just couldn't think of anything at the moment. She lost her composure and cried, laughed and cried. She hugged onto him as if she had gone mad for a long while. Eventually, she leaned into his embrace and raised her head to look at him. With tears in her eyes, she chuckled and said, Lin Jierge, I'm so happy that I can finally cuckold you without any qualms. Legend, you have to be careful. You might be exposed on the news tomorrow for sleeping with a fan. 2 years later. Chapter 921. 2 years later. It was winter once more. Lin Jierge was away on a business trip, and Shi Yao had lessons in the morning, so she spent the night in school. When she woke up the next morning, she received a WeChat message from Lin Jierge. Yao, I'm done with my work and I've booked an early flight back to Beijing. I might have to head to the company for a meeting, so I'll pick you up at school in the afternoon. After reading the message, Shi Yao took a look at the time Lin Jierge had sent the message. It was 5:30 am. Most likely he was on the way to the airport when he sent the message. Shi Yao replied with an emoji before climbing out of bed to wash up. When she came out of the bathroom, she took a look at her phone. Lin Jierge didn't reply to her message, so she thought that he was probably hovering at an altitude of 30,000 feet. I have an entire morning of lessons today, so I'll be revising with Tian at the cafe next to the school. You can come to the cafe to look for me. After sending the message, Shi Yao quickly tidied herself up, grabbed her textbooks and headed to the cafeteria for breakfast before heading to class. After her afternoon lesson, Shi Yao took out her phone and saw Lin Jierge's reply. After chatting with Lin Jierge for a while, she heard Jiang Yu and the others calling her for lunch, so she quickly grabbed her things and left the classroom. By the time she arrived at the school's cafeteria, it was already filled with people. Most of them were unfamiliar but energetic faces. Looking at this scene, Tian couldn't help but remark, in the blink of an eye, we're already in year 4, becoming the oldest people in the school. Back then we were just like them, shouting and laughing in the cafeteria, not caring about how others looked at us. Indeed, back then the one we talked about the most in the cafeteria was Senior Lin. But now the Adonis of the freshmen have all changed. Jiang Yu sighed. Leng Nuan, who had been silent all this while, looked at the bustling scene before her with a calm voice. Even if the Adonis of the freshmen have changed, they're still from Yao Yao's family. That's right. Yao's family is really a Adonis maker. Back then our Adonis, Senior Lin, became Yao Yao's boyfriend, and now the new Adonis are Yao Yao's cousins. He Tian, who had always judged good people based on their appearance, couldn't help but widen her eyes upon mentioning Gu Nanqiang. Speaking of Gu Nanqiang, the Adonis that Lord Ji was full of praises for, Shi Yao couldn't help but feel a little confused. What was so handsome about Gu Nanqiang? There were actually so many little girls who were infatuated with him. Moreover, this rascal was sloppy and playful. He changed girlfriends like a girl playing a game of changing clothes. Until now, she couldn't even remember how many girls had called her sister sweetly. More importantly, these fangirls of Gu Nanqiang probably didn't know that this rascal had handed in blank papers all the way from middle school to high school, right? The more He Tian spoke, the more agitated she became. Say, why didn't I go with Yao Yao to fetch Junior Gu on the day he entered the school? If I were to go with Yao Yao to pick him up, perhaps I would be in a favorable position to enjoy the moonlight first. Now I have already fallen in love with Junior Gu. I really regret it. But you don't say Yao Yao's family's genes are really good. Junior Gu and Yao Yao's eyebrows are really alike. Gu Nanqiang looks like me? Right then. I'll admit that he's the current leader of G University's looks. Chapter 922. Jiang Yu, Tian, I've recorded your words. I'll send it to Desolate Year later. He Tian, Jiang Yu, will you dare? If you dare to send it, I'll send the photo I took of you taking off your bra last night to your buddy. Watching Jiang Yu and He Tian bickering, Shi Yao and Leng Wan couldn't help but smile. Then Shi Yao couldn't help but mutter softly, I'm afraid we won't get to see such a beautiful scene in the future. Leng Wan heard Shi Yao's words and understood what she meant. Indeed. It's going to be our final exams in less than a month's time, and after the spring festival, we'll all be busy with our internships. After that, we'll all be going our separate ways. Hearing their words, He Tian and Jiang Yu stopped bickering. Instead, they turned to look at Shi Yao and Leng Wan. Jiang Yu, I've already told my parents that I won't be returning to my hometown. I'll be staying in Beijing, and my buddy has promised me that he'll keep an eye out for jobs for me. Once I find a good internship, I'll settle down in Beijing. He Tian, I'm not going back either. I'll be staying in Beijing too. Hasn't Senior Lu already bought a house in Beijing? Wan, you'll be staying in Beijing too, right? So the four of us will be staying in the same city. Even after we graduate, we won't be separated. Jiang Yu, that's right, we'll still be together. Speaking of which, Senior Lin has already proposed to Yao Yao. It should be about time for the wedding ceremony after we graduate, right? What about you, Wan? When are you going to settle your engagement with Senior Lu? Hearing Jiang Yu's words, Leng Wan's fingers trembled slightly, but her tone remained as calm as ever. We'll see. As if afraid that everyone would continue asking her about this topic, she spoke up once more. Hurry up and get your food. If you don't go now, all the good food will be snatched up by others. After lunch, Leng Wan didn't return to the dormitory. Instead, she headed straight to the entrance of the school. She had an appointment with Lu Benlai to watch a movie that afternoon. Jiang Yu and Leng Wan headed to the entrance of the school together. She also had an appointment with her buddy of 2 years, Lin Jie's childhood friend, Liang Jisi, to the comic exhibition in the afternoon. In truth, both He Tian and Shi Yao had an appointment, but it was a little late. So the two of them returned to their dormitory room to rest for a while before heading to a cafe near the academy with their textbooks. Shi Yao said that she was here to revise, but after sitting down she really put on her noise-canceling earphones and started to work on her questions. On the other hand, He Tian was holding onto her phone and chatting with her friends. Looking at Luo Ruoxin's expression, Shi Yao didn't need to ask to know that she was chatting with Desolate Year. Less than half an hour later, He Tian suddenly reached out to take off Shi Yao's earphones and said, Yao, I might have to leave you alone here. I'm going to the market to buy some groceries. I have a date with Year of Desolation to have hot pot tonight. Shi Yao waved the brush in her hand, gesturing for her to leave. He Tian gave Shi Yao a peck before leaving with the book exactly the way she brought it back. Shi Yao put on her earphones, picked up her pen and continued scribbling on the paper. Unknowingly, time passed by slowly. Chapter 923. Shi Yao's pen suddenly froze on the spot. She stared at the cup of milk tea for 3 seconds before raising her head, only to see an unfamiliar man standing right beside the table she was leaning on. Shi Yao frowned as she took off her earphones. Before she could ask, "May I know who you are?" the man had already flashed a radiant smile at Shi Yao. "Senior Shi Yao, I'm Gao Hui. I'm a freshman from the computer science faculty." As he spoke, his face reddened slightly. He pointed to the cup of hot milk tea beside Shi Yao's hand and said, "Senior, the milk tea in your cup is already cold. Why don't you drink this hot one instead?" To be honest, Shi Yao had encountered such a scene many times in the past, but in the past year she hadn't encountered such a situation very often. Initially, when she got together with Lin Jierge, there were still quite a few male students in Ji University who kept sending her messages, hoping to woo her. But a year ago, there was a male student who pestered her so much that she even went all the way to the Lin family's old residence. Before she could go crazy from being pestered by that male student, her boyfriend Lin Jierge was the first to go crazy from jealousy. After that, that male student pestered her once more and followed her to the Beijing World Hotel, where Lin Jierge followed him to the washroom. As it was the men's washroom, Shi Yao wasn't too sure what happened inside. But in the end, the male student was taken away by the police. And the reason was that Lin Jierge said that the male student was harboring ill intentions toward him in the washroom. When the police arrived, they were rendered speechless by Lin Jierge's words. However, Lin Jierge continued with his argument. Harassing a woman was considered sexual harassment, but harassing a man wasn't? Thus, the police officers who had been rendered speechless by Lin Jierge could only impartially take the young man away to the police station to investigate the matter. Of course, the matter eventually reached the school and even the school leaders were alerted. Even though no one knew the details of the matter, the male student had been avoiding Shi Yao ever since then. He even warned all of the male students in Ji University that they could fall in love with anyone but Shi Yao. After all, they couldn't afford to offend Lin Jierge. All in all, ever since that incident, Shi Yao's surroundings had become a lot quieter. Senior Gao Hui, who had rushed over to strike up a conversation with Shi Yao, noticed that she wasn't saying a word, so he couldn't help but speak up once more. Shi Yao hurriedly reined in her thoughts and thanked the man before taking out her wallet from her bag. "I'll be keeping the milk tea. Just take it that you bought it for me. Here, take the money." The boy shook his head. "Senior, I don't want money." As he spoke, he glanced at Shi Yao's phone on the table before raising his finger and pointing at it lightly. "Senior, can I add you on WeChat?" Shi Yao didn't respond to the male student's question. Instead, she raised her right hand to show the 8-digit diamond ring to the male student and asked, "Junior, do you know what this means?" I know, but I still want to be friends with you. How could this child be so stubborn?" He already knew that she had a fiancé, yet he still refused to give up? Shi Yao twirled the pen in her hand as she asked the male student, "Then, do you know what the first unspoken rule of entering Ji University is?" Chapter 924. These words were written by the man whom Lin Jierge had sent to the police station for sexual harassment back then. It had been more than a year since then, but every time Shi Yao heard these words, she still couldn't help but burst into laughter. "So, Junior, are you sure that you still want to add my WeChat?" The man was already starting to give up, but after a moment of hesitation he still mustered his courage and said, "Senior, I'm sure." "Can't be, right? You're still unwilling to give up?" Could it be that she really had to use her trump card? Shi Yao pondered for a moment before picking up her phone and sending a message to Lin Jierge. "Where are you?" Soon Shi Yao received Lin Jierge's reply. "I'll be there soon." Shi Yao didn't reply to Lin Jierge's message. Instead, she opened up the conversation between the two of them and showed it to the man. "Junior, Lin Jierge will be here soon." Shortly after Shi Yao said those words, another line of text appeared on her phone screen. "Yao, I've already parked my car. I'm heading to the cafe now." As if frightened by something, the man raised his head to look at the street outside the window. A second later, he picked up the cup of milk tea in front of Shi Yao and fled in a hurry without saying a word. Due to his hasty escape, the man nearly knocked into a chair. Looking at his fleeing silhouette, Shi Yao couldn't help but burst into laughter. "What are you laughing at?" An elegant and pleasant voice suddenly sounded from behind Shi Yao. She subconsciously wanted to turn around to take a look. But before she could do so, a warm, large hand had already placed itself on her head and rubbed it lightly. Following which, the chair beside her was pulled back by a pair of beautiful hands, and the sound of the chair rubbing against the floor echoed softly as Lin Jie sat down beside her. Upon seeing Lin Jie, Yao shook her head and said, "It's nothing." Lin Jie didn't say anything, but his eyes were filled with disbelief. "It's just that I thought of a saying earlier." Yao's eyes darted around for a moment before she leaned over to Lin Jie's ear and whispered, "Mister, I don't want to knock into a wall anymore. I don't want to knock into your heart anymore." Hearing those words, Lin Jie's mood immediately lightened up. Seeing that the look of disbelief on the man's face had disappeared without a trace, Yao picked up her brush and said, "Give me a moment. I'll finish the last few questions first before we leave." Yao paused for a moment as she recalled how Lin Jie would give her the answer as soon as she saw the question. Before she could even think of an answer, he would immediately answer it. She turned to glare at Lin Jie and said, "Right, you're not allowed to speak." Lin Jie nodded his head in response. After which, Yao began to immerse herself in answering the question. Afraid that he would blurt out the answer after seeing the question, Lin Jie looked around the room. There were quite a few males who unintentionally glanced in their direction, but Lin Jie would mistake them for Yao, and he would glare at them with a deep frown. Then the boys in the cafe seemed to be afraid that they would get into trouble. One by one, then another. Looking at the bawling coffeehouse owner, Yao couldn't help but feel sorry for him, so she decided to give up on answering the questions. She closed the paper and nudged Lin Jie, saying, "Let's go, let's go. Let's head back to the old manor to meet Grandpa." At the same time, in the study on the first floor of the Lin family's old manor, Auntie Sun, who had been called in by Grandpa Lin, followed his instructions and closed the door before calling out to Grandpa Lin, "Old mister." Grandpa Lin beckoned Auntie Sun over, and when Auntie Sun came closer he asked, "How are the preparations going?" Chapter 925. Grandpa Lin beckoned Auntie Sun over. When Auntie Sun came closer he asked, "How are the preparations going?" "Auntie Sun, everything is ready. Be it the old manor, the things in young master's room, or the things in young master's apartment, I've already tampered with them." Naturally, Grandpa Lin knew what Auntie Sun was referring to. Even though everything was going according to his plan, he still couldn't help but ask worriedly, "You didn't make any mistakes, did you?" "Auntie Sun, I didn't. I followed your instructions and inserted a needle in the most inconspicuous part of the packaging. Besides, old mister, under normal circumstances, you wouldn't be in the mood to inspect it carefully when you're using it." "Indeed, you're right. I've always remembered that brat Lin Jie's ploy 2 years ago, and I've been enduring it for 2 whole years. I've been enduring it to the point where I'm about to go moldy. But now that Yao Yao is about to graduate, this period of time should be Yao Yao's ovulation period. If everything goes smoothly, I should be able to hear the good news from Yao Yao's womb during the spring festival." As Grandpa Lin spoke, he couldn't help but chuckle to himself. "Look at the words I've chosen. What do you think? Isn't it great? Auntie Sun, I'll leave it to you. Which word do you think is suitable for my great-grandson's name?" Auntie Sun leaned forward to take a look at the piece of paper that Grandpa Lin was pointing at. It was filled with black words. Even if there weren't 100 of them, there were at least 80 of them. It was just a name for the young master, so why did Grandpa Lin prepare so many words for it? Grandpa Lin stared at the words that he had painstakingly selected from the Xinhua dictionary over the past 2 years with a satisfied look on his face. Then he noticed the troubled look on Auntie Sun's face, so he waved his hand in a show of benevolence. "Forget it, it's my fault. My question earlier was too difficult for you, so I'll assign you something simple to do instead. You can start preparing the baby's belongings now. Remember, you have to choose the best of everything. The Yao Yao and Jie's wedding has to be pushed forward as well. Back when they were still in school, they refused to hold a wedding, but now that Yao Yao is about to graduate, we have to hold a wedding as soon as possible. Otherwise, others will say that Yao Yao is following Jie without a proper title. We can suffer any injustice, but we can't let Yao Yao suffer. Also, remember to have the kitchen prepare some nutritious food every day and send it to Jie. From now on, Yao Yao is no longer the same as before. You have to serve her carefully. Treat her as if she's 2 no 3 no 10 men. Old sir, don't worry. I've already remembered all of this. You've been telling me about it many times in the past 2 years. Auntie son, you're getting more and more outrageous. Are you saying that I'm nagging? No. Sir, how would I dare? I'm sure that you wouldn't dare to. As Grandpa Lin spoke, he repeated what he had said earlier once more before waving his hand and allowing Auntie Sun to leave. There was a slight traffic jam on the way back from the academy, so by the time they arrived, it was already 6:30. Because he was on vacation, he deliberately turned off the alarm that was always on. He thought he could sleep until he woke up naturally, but in the end he received more than 10 calls in the morning. Special Assistant Xia, how do you brew the tea that President Lin wants? In the past she would be fine when I made tea, but today I've made it 18 times and she can find fault with it every time. Special Assistant Xia, what does Boss Lin need to prepare to meet the client? It's not like I haven't gone with her before, but today she kept saying that I didn't do this well and that well. Special Assistant Xia, when are you coming back? Our secretarial office can't hold on any longer. In the end, Xia Shangzhou's phone rang a second after he hung up. That's strange. Why is the she-devil's temper so weird today? Chapter 927. It was no wonder why the demoness was so furious today. It turned out that it was the anniversary of Qin Ting's death. The first year on the anniversary of Qin Ting's death, Lin Jui had gotten herself drunk at Little Junior's and Boss's singles party. The second year on the anniversary of Qin Ting's death, Lin Jui had gone to the bar alone and drank herself into oblivion. If not for the fact that the bartender had picked up his call and noticed that something was amiss, she would have probably been taken away by those men who harbored ill intentions that night. The third year, which was today, while Xia Shangzhou was deep in thought, his phone rang once more. He picked it up and the new intern secretary was already crying. Assistant Xia, Boss Lin told me not to brew the tea properly, so I told her to scram later. Woo. Through the intern secretary's cries, Xia Shangzhou could also hear the sound of things being smashed and Lin Jiai's furious roars. While he couldn't hear what Lin Jui was saying, he could sense that the scene before him was probably terrifying to the extreme. Assistant Xia, what should I do? I'm really at my wit's end. It's only been 2 hours and Boss Lin has already smashed 2 desks. Hearing the intern secretary's words once more, Xia Shangzhou recovered from his daze and said, Little Qin, don't cry and don't enter the office. I'll book a flight back to Beijing right now. Before you return, I'll call someone over for you. As long as that person goes over, the demoness, no matter how bad Boss Lin's temper is, she'll be able to rein it in. The intern secretary was still crying, but she didn't forget to gossip. Assistant Lin, who is the person you're talking about? Xia Shangzhou, you'll know when you see him later. After hanging up the call, Xia Shangzhou immediately sent a distress message to Shi Yao. Little Junior, call Little Junior. However, the person who replied to his message was Lin Jiage. Little Junior is bathing. Xia Shangzhou. Bloody hell, am I sending myself to be abused? Taking a deep breath, Xia Shangzhou decided to swallow his anger and said, Boss, the handsome and rich boss, I would like to borrow Little Junior for a moment. Is that possible? Lin Jiage. Lin Jiage, do you want to die? No. Boss, you've misunderstood. What I mean is that I'm not borrowing Little Junior on your behalf. I won't lend it either. I knew it would be like this. Xia Shangzhou was straightforward. Today is the anniversary of Qin Ting's death. The other side was silent for a while and then Xia Shangzhou received a message. Got it, I'll bring Yao Yao over later. Xia Shangzhou replied with a thank God emoji and then began to book the plane tickets. There were only first-class seats left on the earliest flight back to Beijing. The price is a little expensive. Xia Shangzhou gritted his teeth, entered the password, paid the amount and then packed his things to rush to the airport. When Xia Shangzhou arrived in Beijing, he did not even return home. Instead, he dragged his suitcase and rushed to the Lin Enterprise building. By the time he arrived, it was already 1 in the afternoon. Lin Jiayi was currently on her lunch break, and Lin Jierge and Shi Yao had already left. Upon seeing Zhang Xian, the people from the secretarial office reacted as if they had seen a living Buddha. They praised him while tossing the documents that Lin Jiayi had requested in the afternoon to him before returning to their respective posts. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.